movement was there, and they also did some firing and all.
Yeah, there is an input of ID blast wherein soldier has been injured, inspector rank has been injured. His medical care is being taken care of. We are getting the inputs and we are reacting accordingly. We as a buster.
And there was also some firing in some polling booth in Sukma only.
Yeah, that has not been confirmed yet because that is of another district. I cannot confirm. But in Dantewada, the election process till now has been very peaceful.
Thank you for talking to NDTV. So Gargi, in Dantewada election so far is peaceful, but this is the district where last time the lone BJP legislator Bhima Mandavi was killed and the Doordarshan crew was also attacked.
And the voter turnout in Mizoram has exceeded 50%, 52.2% till 1 o'clock this afternoon. And my colleague Ratnadeep spoke with Sabdanga, the working president of the Zoram People's Movement. Listen in.
Even as the polling continues in Mizoram, we are now joined by the working president of Zoram People's Movement, or ZPM, Pu Sabdanga. Pu Sabdanga, people in the media know you more of a media entrepreneur, media tycoon. You are the editor of the largest circulated newspaper in Mizoram. You have a TV news network. Yes. But why step into politics? Why form a new party? And your new party now that you have formed with Pu Laldohama is giving a tough fight to old forces like the MNF and the Congress.
Yes. Then I think you're also a journalist. So journalist experience in the government is clear. So from my experience in the journalism, I knew that some things happen wrong and something happened right. And then some good thing can be done, but it is not done. And that is why I joined the politics.
This time your party, now you're an organized party, and yes. We spoke to the Chief Minister this morning. He is saying he's very confident of a absolute majority victory. We spoke to the former Chief Minister Lal Thanawala. He says that Congress is going to revive.
Yeah.
ZPM does have some sort of following, we have seen, but is it good enough to win seats to win an election?
Yeah, he has to say like that. He always say his dreams, right? And then from my side, see, from the public response, it is sure ZPM will win in a clear majority this time.
But should you not get a clear majority and you have to take help of other political parties to form the government?
No. We don't expect any help from other party.
But if you have to take, are you open to take help from other political parties?
No, we never said like that. Okay. We never said like that. Our High Command clearly decided that there should be no any coalition government. We are trying to get a clear majority with our own party.
So you're saying there's no possibility of a hung assembly in Mizoram?
No hung assembly will be there. It seems from the public response.
So there you are, Pu Sabdanga, the working president of ZPM, somebody whom we journalists in the Northeast know more of a editor, entrepreneur, running one of the oldest media houses in Mizoram. He is now one of the top leaders of this political parties, and he is hopeful that his party will get an absolute majority in this election. With camera person G.D. Shankar, in Aizawl, Ratnadeep Chaudhary for NDTV.
Well, we have breaking news coming in at the moment, and this is regarding the Bihar government has released its detailed caste survey data, which has been tabled. This is breaking news that we are getting on the hour. We have my colleague Manish joining us. Manish, that data, the Bihar caste survey data have from socio-economic survey with the insights into poverty, citizens' educational status has finally been tabled.
Yes, of course. Was going after this. He monitored each and everything, and today finally they have not only tabled the caste-based surveys which was made official last month, but also the comprehensive socio-economic data of economic status of each and every particular caste, and also their educational status, and their status in terms of whether they own a house, whether they have a vehicle, or laptop, mobile, whatever parameters, 7 parameters was set. They have put in the public domain each and every detail of each and every caste. And right now there is a discussion going on this economic survey, as well as the first report which was tabled earlier.
What does the data indicate, Manish, if you could break it down for us?
Yes, of course. If you see on each and every parameter, the condition of each and every particular caste, you cannot say that most of the caste on the economic parameters, which includes the upper caste also, which includes the OBCs also, at least 25% people are still, considered poor on whatever parameter was set there.
Right. So 42.93% of all scheduled caste families are poor, according to the data that has been tabled in Bihar's assembly. Details of this data, Bihar has 215 castes, 79.70% is the literacy rate. 34% of the families earn up to about 6,000 rupees a month. Just 3.90% families earn up to about 50,000 a month. 42.93% of all scheduled caste families fall under the poor category, while 33.16% of the OBC's families and 33.58% EBC families are poor. 25%, more than 25% of the general category of the families are poor, according to this survey that has been tabled. Let's also talk about, this caste survey data, which also has details about the vehicle ownership. 95.49% of the people surveyed do not own a vehicle in the state of Bihar. 92.36% is in the general category people, they do not own a vehicle. 97.83% of the scheduled caste category, those people again do not own a vehicle, and 94.45% of the OBCs and 96.31% of the EBCs do not own a vehicle as well, according to this caste data. Now let's also talk about education in the state of Bihar. The data says that 22.67% of those surveyed have studied only up to class 5. 24.31% of the Supreme Court category, this is the scheduled caste category, the people have studied till class 5. When we talk about the general category, again, the ratio is even lesser. It's coming to 17.45%. So 17.45% of the general category of people have only studied till the 5th class. 21.69% of the OBCs and 24.65% of the EBCs have studied till class 5. Then we have just about 9% of those surveyed have cleared class 11 and 12. Only 5.76% of the surveyed scheduled caste category people have cleared the class 11 and 12 exams. That is the data that's come out as far as education is concerned, as far as vehicle ownership is concerned, and also when it comes to the literacy rate, the caste rate, the amount they're earning in a month. And of course, this has today finally been tabled in the Bihar Assembly. So the caste data has been tabled in the Bihar Assembly. Let's just take you through the details. This is the caste-based data from socio-economic survey with insights into poverty, citizens' educational status. The socio-economic data is out. Let's just get you details of this data. The overall, as far as the poverty is concerned in the state of Bihar, Bihar has 215 castes, and the literacy rate is coming in at 79.70%. When we talk about the kind of money that is made in families up to about, say, 6,000 a month, that's only 34% of the families who are earning up to 6,000 rupees in the state of Bihar. About 3.90% of the families earn up to about 50,000 rupees a month. And as far as all the scheduled caste families under that category, they fall in the poor category. It's about 42.93% of all scheduled caste families which are poor. They come in the poor category. Let's just listen into Nitish Kumar and what he has to say about the table, about the survey being tabled.
आज तो पेश हो ही चुका है, तो उसके बारे में बहुत ही संक्षेप में बता देंगे कि इन विषयों पर सभी जानकारी दे दी गई है, लेकिन उसके बाद सभी पार्टियों को अपनी राय देना है। तो जो भी पार्टी के लोग बोल करके एक आदमी बोलेंगे कि एक आदमी बोले, ये सुनिए ना, जो बोलेंगे तो उनको जितना बोलना है बोले ना, तो क्या दिक्कत है। इसलिए कृपा करके पहले इनको मैंने जब भी रख दिए, लेकिन थोड़ा सा संक्षेप में ही, बहुत ही संक्षेप में तुरंत बोल देंगे, लेकिन आप अपना पूरे तौर पर रख दीजिए, एक एक पार्टी की राय आ जाएगी सामने।
माननीय संसदीय कार्य मंत्री,
देखिए एक बात हम बता देते हैं, सुनिए ना। अरे काहे के लिए सबकी राय से न हुआ है भाई।
सदन के सभी दल के एक एक नेता आप 10-10 मिनट बोलेंगे, आप पहले 10 मिनट बोलेंगे।
अरे छोड़िए ना, अभी काहे के लिए कर, जितना देर बोलना बोले ना भाई। अरे बैठिए ना भाई, दूसरा
आप स्थान तो ग्रहण कीजिए।
नहीं छोड़िए ना, नहीं
मैंने कहा कि इसको विधान परिषद में भी होना है।
अरे हम अध्यक्ष महोदय,
संसदीय कार्य मंत्री,
अध्यक्ष महोदय, मेरा अनुरोध है
माननीय
आपसे,
मुख्यमंत्री,
मेरा अनुरोध है कि जिन पार्टियों की संख्या जैसी है उसी के हिसाब से उनको अवसर दीजिए। उतना समय हो गया, खत्म। बैठिए, हमको लगता है बोलने। एक बात हम कह देते हैं प्लीज, आप सब जानते हैं, सबकी सहमति से, राय से नहीं तैयार हुआ है भाई। तो सबकी सहमति से सब कुछ कर दिया गया है। अब जो बात आ गई है तो अपनी बतवा रखिए ना।
Our government tables the caste survey in Bihar's assembly. Let's just cut across to Bihar's assembly.
लोकहित याचिका की बात चल रही थी, अचानक से केंद्र सरकार की रुचि जग गई और महोदय उन्होंने, सबसे तो समझ में बात नहीं आई कि इनके, तो महोदय हम ये कहेंगे महोदय कि ये सरकार जिसका प्रतिवेदन हमने आपके सामने सभी सदस्यों के बीच रख दिया है, जो सभी को उपलब्ध है। अब हम सदन से और सभी दल के नेताओं से अनुरोध करेंगे सरकार की तरफ से कि सब लोग अपनी राय रखें। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
माननीय सदस्यगण,
Well, the Nitish Kumar government in Bihar took strong exception to Union Home Minister Amit Shah's allegations that the caste survey had been manipulated to show inflated numbers of Yadavs and Muslims. Parliamentary Affairs Minister Vijay Kumar Chaudhary had gone on to tell reporters that Mr. Shah's speech at a BJP rally in Muzaffarpur a day ago was bereft of logic and unbecoming of a person holding a responsible post. Yadavs are an OBC group, which is a fact known to all. Yet the Home Minister claimed that their numbers had been inflated to deny other OBCs of their due. The argument simply does not add up, is what Mr. Chaudhary asserted. And now today, that Bihar government has tabled the caste survey data in its assembly. And with that, we're taking a very short break. Lots more coming up on the other side.
With कैलाश विजयवर्गीय। कैलाश जी, क्या माहौल है?
आप देख लीजिए माहौल क्या है, लोग बहुत प्यार करते हैं।
The BJP is going all out in these elections in Madhya Pradesh. 3 union ministers, 4 MPs and a party general secretary have all been fielded as candidates.
The face of CM doesn't matter that much now. Even the opposition side, the fractions they are divided into gives a very vague idea what they are going to do with our state.
ना हमारा गरीबी रेखा का भी कूपन आया तो नहीं दिया।
सरकार तो जब तक के अभी इनको वोटिंग चाहिए, हम लोगों से, जनताओं से इनको वोट की जरूरत है, जब तक कुछ करेंगे।
परिवर्तन से क्या होगा?
परिवर्तन से क्या होगा? कुछ नहीं, कुछ अच्छा होगा।
जो जीता वो सिकंदर। बाबा महाकाल की कृपा देखो अब किस पे होती है।
A cup of hope,
a cup of joy.
Can India lift it at home after 12 years?
We will follow their journey through the length and breadth of the country.
Through every twists and turns.
On Turning Point, on NDTV 24/7.
Okay, so we're coming towards the end और ये है मेरा favorite section, guys. You know about it. It's Ask TG, जहाँ पे आपके सवाल होते हैं, मैं जवाब देता हूँ. तो let's see इस हफ्ते हमारे पास में क्या-क्या सवाल आए हैं, because I am ready with all my answers.
Hi TG, which mobile brands should we buy to support PM Modi's Make in India initiative?
Okay, I'll tell you something very honestly. Any phone in the market, when you see the label that it is made in India or assembled in India or something like that, go ahead, get it. That's my honest answer. आज अगर कोई फ़ोन बनता है इंडिया में तो हम देखते हैं कि कुछ कंपोनेंट्स इंडिया से आते हैं, कुछ कंपोनेंट्स इंडिया के बाहर से भी आते हैं और हम विद टाइम ये कोशिश कर रहे हैं कि ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा मेजॉरिटी ऑफ द कंपोनेंट्स इंडिया से आने शुरू हो जाएं. बट दिस नंबर is very difficult, you know, to go to 100% because ये बहुत ज़्यादा मुश्किल एक प्रोडक्ट है जहाँ पे बहुत सारे कंपोनेंट्स काम में आते हैं. Sometimes the protocol might not be supported. Sometimes this USB port is not sufficient to give you a display output. तो आप उस केस में Chromecast को यूज कर सकते हैं to cast your screen. I would say that would be an easier option.
The Bihar government tables its caste survey data in assembly. This is the caste-based data from socio-economic survey and insights into poverty, citizens' educational status, as well as Bihar's socio-economic data that is out. Let's just cut across to Bihar's assembly.
कभी जातीय सर्वे का विरोध नहीं किया महोदय, हमेशा खुलकर समर्थन किया है. ये जातीय जनगणना की बात कहे थे महोदय, जातीय जनगणना ये हम नहीं महोदय, ये कांग्रेस के मंत्री चिदंबरम साहब भी कहे थे कि जातीय जनगणना भारत सरकार कराती है, राज्य सरकार का अधिकार नहीं है महोदय. और ये लोग को भरमा रहे हैं, गलत रूप से बता रहे हैं लोगों महोदय. आज लोगों का इस जातीय सर्वे में कई शिकायतें आई है महोदय. कई लोगों ने धरना प्रदर्शन के माध्यम से भी सरकार का ध्यान आकृष्ट करना चाहा, चाहे चंद्रवंशी समाज हो, धानुक समाज हो. उसी समाज के सत्ता महागठबंधन के प्रगति मेहता जी का भी स्टेटमेंट आया था महोदय. आपके जदयू के सांसद माननीय सुनील कुमार पिंटू जी का भी स्टेटमेंट आया था. ये गलत हुआ है और इस तरह से महोदय कई लोगों का सरकार को इस पर विचारना चाहिए था महोदय. इस जाति में बेरोजगार कितना है महोदय, आपने रोजगार का बात तो कर दिया महोदय, बेरोजगारों की चर्चा क्यों नहीं किया महोदय. बतानी चाहिए इस जाति में कितना बेरोजगार है, इस पर मौन क्यों है महोदय. आज जो चल रहे हैं, बोल रहे हैं कि हमने इतिहास कायम कर दिया. आप केंद्र में सरकार में थे, श्रीमान लालू प्रसाद यादव जी केंद्रीय मंत्री थे, बड़े पावरफुल मंत्री थे, तब जातीय जनगणना क्यों नहीं कराए महोदय. 2011 में यूपीए की सरकार थी, क्यों जातीय जनगणना नहीं हुआ महोदय. केंद्र के साथ मिलकर 2015 में कर्नाटक के मुख्यमंत्री उस समय सीतारमैया जी जातीय गणना करवाए थे महोदय. आज तक आंकड़ा क्यों नहीं सार्वजनिक किया गया. आपके
घर पे जाके तुम गूगल कर लो, मेरे बारे में विकिपीडिया पे पढ़ लो। यू नो, दिस इज समथिंग दैट वी डू ऑन अ डेली बेसिस। मतलब हम सभी गूगल यूज करते हैं, हम सभी विकिपीडिया पे यूज करते हैं, बट डिड यू नो कि गूगल एक्चुअल में गूगल नहीं होना चाहिए था, वो होता गूगल। वहां से एक स्पेलिंग मिस्टेक की वजह से गूगल बन गया। अब हुआ ये, यू नो, जब स्टार्ट हुआ पूरा गूगल का आइडिया, आई टोल्ड यू पहले के एपिसोड में दैट द फर्स्ट नेम वाज बैकरब। अब बैकरब से नाम जब चेंज करना था तो द फाउंडर्स ऑफ गूगल, लैरी पेज एंड सर्गे ब्रिन, दे वर लुकिंग फॉर अ न्यू टर्म, और उनको एक टर्म मिलती है गूगल। गूगल का मतलब क्या होता है इन मैथमेटिक्स? इट्स नंबर वन फॉलोड बाय 100 zeros। तो आइडिया ये था कि अब इतनी सारी इंफॉर्मेशन को हम एक साथ दिखाने वाले हैं, इट नो क्लियरली सिग्निफाइज द वास्ट अमाउंट ऑफ इंफॉर्मेशन ऑनलाइन। तो वहां से दिमाग में वर्ड आ गया गूगल।
Let's get you the very latest this time around from the Gaza Strip, and we have as far as the international news is concerned. But to begin with, let's talk about Mizoram and Chhattisgarh, and the voting turnout has begun as far as the 5 state assembly elections are concerned. Voting is taking place in 40 seats in Mizoram in a single phase, and in 20 constituencies in Chhattisgarh's first phase. This marks the beginning of an exercise billed as a virtual semi-final before the general elections that will be taking place next year. 20 assembly seats go to polls in Chhattisgarh. Mizoram will vote for the 40-member assembly in a single-phase election today. 12 assembly seats of the Naxal-hit Bastar division are among the 20 constituencies where voting will be held. About 60,000 security personnel have been deployed for the smooth conduct of the polls in the sensitive areas. It's expected to be a close contest between the Congress and the BJP, as both parties are trying to win the support of tribal voters. The Grand Old Party is banking on its legacy of welfare schemes and support for tribal rights, while the BJP is focusing on development and infrastructure. In 2018, the Congress won 17 of the 20 seats, while the BJP had won 2. The second phase of voting will take place on the 17th of this month, while votes will be counted on the 3rd of next month. In Mizoram, the contest is between the ruling Mizo National Party, the National Front, and the Zoram People's Movement Party. The Congress and the BJP, Arvind Kejriwal's Aam Aadmi Party, has also joined the race. In 2018, the MNF returned to power in Mizoram after a decade, defeating the Congress in its last bastion. This election, the MNF has contested the polls on its own, with the Chief Minister hitting out at the centre for its alleged mishandling of the violence in neighbouring Manipur. While the MNF, Congress and the ZPM are contesting all 40 seats, the BJP has put up candidates in 23. Let's just listen in to what the Chief Minister of Chhattisgarh had to say.
आज छत्तीसगढ़ में पहले चरण का चुनाव भी हो रहा है, और अब तक जो मुझे खबर मिली है, बड़े उत्साह उमंग के साथ भारी मतदान हो रहा है। सभी मतदाताओं से मेरी अपील है कि बिना डरे, बिना हिचके मतदान अवश्य करें। ये लोकतंत्र का उत्सव है, हर नागरिक का उत्सव है। कांग्रेस की एक और बड़ी नाकामी भी रही है। जब जब कांग्रेस सरकार में आती है, तब तब देश में आतंकवादियों और नक्सलियों के हौसले बढ़ जाते हैं। जहां भी देखो, इधर कभी बम फूटने की खबर आती है, कभी उधर बम फूटने की खबर आती है, कभी यहां मार दिया काट दिया की खबर आती है, कभी यहां मार दिया काट दिया की खबर आती थी। जिस जिस राज्य में कांग्रेस सत्ता में होती है, वहां अपराध का, लूटपाट का राज ही चलता है।
आपको बोनस दिया जाएगा। बच्चों की पढ़ाई में कोई शुल्क नहीं लगेगा। केजी टू पीजी, पहली कक्षा से लेके अब पोस्ट ग्रेजुएशन तक के आपको पढ़ाई में कोई खर्च नहीं होगा। उसी प्रकार से 35 किलो राशन सभी परिवार को मिलेगा, चाहे APL हो BPL हो। 500 रुपया गैस सिलेंडर, जितने भी जिसके पास भी गैस कनेक्शन है, चाहे उज्ज्वला हो या दूसरे, सबको उसका लाभ मिलेगा।
The Aam Aadmi Party says that even if Arvind Kejriwal is arrested by the Enforcement Directorate in the liquor case, he will remain as the Chief Minister and they will seek permission to hold cabinet meetings in jail if needed, is what was said by Delhi Minister Atishi. She's gone on to say that the people of Delhi have elected him as the Chief Minister and he should remain the Chief Minister, is what Atishi, Delhi's minister, went on to say. Mr. Kejriwal was summoned for questioning by the Enforcement Directorate, which is probing the alleged money laundering angle in the liquor scam on the 2nd of this month. He skipped that questioning and has predicted that he would be arrested soon. He was earlier questioned by the CBI in April this year.
चाहे कितने दिन भी मोदी सरकार अरविंद केजरीवाल जी को जेल में रखने की कोशिश करे, दिल्ली के लोगों ने उनको मुख्यमंत्री चुना है, वो जेल से ही दिल्ली के लोगों के मुख्यमंत्री रहेंगे। दिल्ली की सरकार जेल से चलाएंगे अरविंद केजरीवाल और जेल से भी दिल्ली की जनता के कामों को रुकने नहीं देंगे।
Moving on to international news now, the UN Security Council has once again failed to agree on a resolution on the Israel-Hamas war, with the US calling for humanitarian pauses and many council members demanding a humanitarian ceasefire to deliver desperately needed aid and prevent more civilian deaths when it comes to the Gaza Strip, whether it is from the Israelis or people from the Hamas group.
Given the gravity of the humanitarian situation and the scale of the needs of the Gaza population, France calls for an immediate humanitarian truce. This truce must be durable and sustained. It is absolutely necessary and must lead to a ceasefire. The suffering of Palestinians and Israelis must end. Israel has, of course, the right to defend itself and the duty to do so in compliance with international humanitarian law while protecting civilian populations.
As the Secretary General stated this morning, this is a crisis of humanity. In less than a month, more than 10,000 Palestinians in the Gaza Strip have been killed. And as we speak, Palestinian civilians continue to be killed. Children are bearing the brunt. As several UN officials have stated already, Gaza is becoming a graveyard for children.
We've talked about humanitarian pauses and we're interested in pursuing language on that score, but there are disagreements within the Council about whether that's acceptable. Look, we've been concerned about any kind of violence going on along the border with Lebanon, and we've said and we've made very clear that we do not want this war to spread. Okay, so we are working to try to make sure that it doesn't, because we think it's in no one's interest for that war to spread to Lebanon.
Lebanon's militant Hezbollah group held a funeral on Monday for one of its fighters who was killed during clashes along the tiny country's tense southern border with Israel. The funeral of Qasim Ibrahim Abu Tam was held in Beirut and attended by hundreds of supporters of the militant group. Abu Tam's coffin was draped in Hezbollah's yellow flag and was carried through the streets during the funeral. Israeli troops and Hezbollah militants and their allies have been clashing for a month along the border since the start of the Israel-Hamas war. The Israeli embassy held a private screening on Monday in Santiago of unpublished footage of the attacks against Israeli citizens by Hamas. This video, according to the Israel ambassador, has gone on to say in Chile, has been shown in 6 countries around the world, including Brazil. Art Azili said the 45-minute video included images from body cameras of the militants of Hamas this evil that is hard to believe. If you do not see it, you do not believe that it exists, is what he went on to say, saying people cannot simply ignore what's taking place. We saw the unprecedented cruelty, unimaginable cruelty of the Hamas terrorists, and you have to know the truth. You have to know the truth, is what he went on to say. Chilean president has said that Israel's response in Gaza is disproportionate and is violating international humanitarian law. Injured people, including children, were rushed to a hospital in Rafah after an Israeli strike flattened several houses in the southern Gaza city on Monday afternoon. A girl was taken out of an ambulance while a boy was filled with blood. He was covered in blood as well as dust and was brought to the Abu Yusuf al-Najjar hospital on a motorbike. Another boy was carried into the hospital with blood on his face. First responders and residents rushed to the scene, searching for survivors in the rubble. They recovered 18 wounded people, including children, according to the Rafah hospital officials. National Security Council spokesperson John Kirby said that the United States could not verify the Hamas-run Gaza Health Ministry's report that 10,000 people have died in Gaza, but acknowledged that many thousands have been killed. Let's listen in to John Kirby.
In this conflict. On the death toll number, I can't, Zeke, I can't confirm that specific number. We obviously recognize and have said publicly that many thousands have been killed. And many more injured or wounded in this conflict. And each and every death is a tragedy. Each and every death ought to be prevented to the maximum extent possible. But I can't verify that specific death toll number coming out of the ministry.
And flares were seen falling over the Gaza Strip on Monday night as Israel bombards the territory in its war against Hamas. The Israeli army pounded northern Gaza with airstrikes, preparing for expected ground battles with Hamas militants. Already, the Palestinian death toll has surpassed 10,000. That is according to the health ministry of the Hamas-run Gaza Strip, according to them from Sunday. Some 1,400 Israelis have died, mostly civilians killed in the October 7th incursion by Hamas that started the war. The figures mark a grim milestone in what has quickly become the deadliest round of Israeli-Palestinian violence since Israel's establishment 75 years ago. And Russia sending 60 tons of humanitarian aid to Gaza through Egypt. The country's Ministry of Emergency Situations went on to say, according to the ministry, 2 IL-76 planes carrying food, hygiene, as well as hygiene goods and mattresses took off from the airport and will be transferred to the Egyptian Red Crescent Society for distribution in the Gaza Strip. EU officials have reaffirmed on Monday the importance for the Union to stand by Ukraine in its fight against Russia, saying that a defeat from the Ukrainian army would be a defeat for the European Union as well. Ursula von der Leyen, European Commissioner of the European Commission President, has gone on to talk about how they will continue to pledge their support.
Russia wanted to erase Ukraine's national identity. Instead, the war has forged Ukraine's identity stronger than before. Russia wanted to weaken NATO. Instead, NATO is revitalized with 2 new allies and defense spending rising across the European Union. Russia's army has lost half of its conventional equipment and sacrificed over 100,000 of their young men. Russian mercenaries have turned against their masters, or think of the once feared Russian Black Sea Fleet. Today, thanks to the brave acts of the Ukrainians, it has retreated from blocking Odessa. And there are countless more examples. So even if the situation on the ground is now evolving slowly, one thing is crystal clear. Because of Ukraine's resolve, and because of our unwavering support, this war will remain a strategic failure for the Kremlin. But we also know that Putin's failure will not automatically translate into Ukraine's victory. So as the war drags on, and as we continue to cater for the daily needs of Ukrainians, we must also try to focus on the way forward and on what it means to support Ukraine for as long as it takes.
And the Russian military has said a Ukrainian missile strike on a shipyard in annexed Crimea had damaged a Russian ship. Now, there have been videos on social media showing the explosion and the smoke rising from the Zaliv shipyard in Kerch, a city in the eastern part of the Crimean Peninsula. And Russia unleashed a series of drone and missile strikes on Odessa, injuring about 8 people and damaging a historic art museum, according to the Ukrainian regional authorities. The Ukrainian Emergency Situations Minister released a video showing shards of glass, people trying to fix their broken windows, and emergency workers on the scene. Women and children were in the area as well. At least 15 drones were shot down. And Kherson's regional governor said on Monday that Russian forces had launched multiple attacks on the city during the night. And the spectacular northern lights were seen in multiple central Russian regions overnight. Professional and amateur photographers alike they had been sharing videos as well as pictures on social media showing the night sky turning into a spectrum of green and red. Former President Donald Trump defended his wealth and business on Monday, tangling from the witness stand with the judge overseeing his civil fraud trial and denouncing as a political witch hunt a lawsuit accusing him of dramatically inflating his net worth. Trump's long-awaited testimony about property violation as far as the valuation and the financial statements are concerned was punctuated by personal jabs at a judge he said was biased against him and at the state attorney general, whom he said was a political hack. He proudly boosted off his real estate business and disputed claims that he had deceived banks and insurers. Listen in.
I think it went very well. I think you were there and you listened and you see what a scam this is. This is a case that should have never been brought. It's a case that should be dismissed immediately. The fraud was on behalf of the court. The court was the fraudster in this case. They made references to assets that were very valuable, and they said they had no idea. They had no idea what the numbers were. This is a scam. And this is a case that should have never been brought, and it's a case that now should be dismissed. And I think you saw what I had to say today, and it was very conclusive. Everything we did was absolutely right. But anyway, this is a case that should have never been brought, and it's a case that should be immediately dismissed. Thank you. Thank you very much.
And French NGO Reporters Without Borders staged a protest in front of the Belarusian embassy in Paris on Monday to urge the release of a journalist. This is Marna Zolotova. Several activists accompanied by her husband as well as her children hung up posters of the journalist and postcards addressed to her. She was the chief editor and director of the Tut.by, the leading independent news website in Belarus, until authorities shut it down last year, has been sentenced to 12 years in prison on charges of damaging national security and inciting hatred. Zolotova was convicted under the Belarusian law of incitement to hatred and distributing materials that were deemed to have harmed the country's national security. According to the head of Reporters Without Borders, there are 36 journalists in prison in Belarus.
A debate has many facets, perhaps no one right answer. Left, right and center. Conversations that get to the core of the debate.
And there's too much talking but very little being said. Too many voices but hardly any being heard. You turn to a show that puts you Front and Center, a show that headlines the stories of the people, by the people, for the people. From breaking news to in-depth analysis,
Covering the latest developments
across politics,
business and technology,
bringing you stories that shape our nation and the world.
अक्सर ऐसा होता है कि आपके फोन के स्क्रीन पे बहुत सारी इंफॉर्मेशन है. मे बी यू आर ऑन अ वेब पेज, या मे बी यू आर रीडिंग अ बुक लेट्स से, या अगर कुछ भी बहुत ज़्यादा टेक्स्ट है, कई बार बहुत सारे ऑप्शंस आ जाते हैं. समटाइम्स इट्स दिस लेजी फीलिंग, या समटाइम्स इट्स मोर कन्वीनियंट कि अगर कोई आपको वो सब चीज़ें पढ़ के सुना दे. लेट मी गिव यू अ टेक टिप. आपके फ़ोन में एक इनबिल्ट ऑप्शन होता है टेक्स्ट टू स्पीच का. Either you are using Android or iOS, फर्क नहीं पड़ता, दोनों केसेस में आपको ये ऑप्शन मिल जाएगा. You just need to dig deep into the accessibility settings और वहाँ से you can even customize the output speech options कि आपको किस स्पीड में वो स्पीच चाहिए, या फिर किस टाइप की आपको वॉइस चाहिए, और आप बड़े आराम से जो भी आपके स्क्रीन पे है वो सुन सकते हैं.
Text to speech is a feature that reads digital text aloud. Words on a computer or other digital device can be converted into audio using this.
कभी कभी ये आलस के मारे आप करेंगे, कभी कभी करेंगे आप कन्वीनियंस के मामले में, बट इट्स अ नाइस टिप टू फॉलो कि आप आपके स्क्रीन पे जो भी है वो सुन भी सकते हैं, बिकॉज व्हाट यू आर यूजिंग इज नॉट अ डम फोन, इट्स अ स्मार्टफोन, सो मेक यूज ऑफ इट.
This show isn't just about news from the southern states. It's one that looks at the rest of India and the world from a diverse South India point of view, because NDTV has always taken the southern view seriously.
The Southern View with Veera Raghav.
Welcome back. Let's now get you an exclusive interview with the Chief Minister of Rajasthan, Ashok Gehlot. Listen in to what he had to say.
हमने एक बहुत अच्छा कैंपेन देखा था हिमाचल प्रदेश में और कर्नाटक में, पूरी पार्टी साथ दिखाई देती थी. यहाँ पर होगा एक साथ सब सारे राजस्थान के नेता एक साथ एक मंच पर,
एक ही सब एक मंच पर,
आप और सचिन पायलट साथ
सभी एक मंच पर है.
वहाँ पे खड़गे जी भी हैं, वहाँ पे राहुल गांधी भी हैं, वहाँ सोनिया गांधी भी हैं.
देखिए हमारे यहाँ सब एक मंच पर है. बीजेपी में बिखराव है, हमारे यहाँ नहीं है, वहाँ बिखराव है.
विपक्ष में रह के चुनाव लड़ना आसान होता है या सत्ता में रह के चुनाव लड़ना आसान होता है? 18 में आप विपक्ष में थे तो आप चुनाव जीत गए, आपकी सरकार बन गई, आप मुख्यमंत्री बन गए. अब आप सत्ता में रह के चुनाव लड़ रहे हैं, और आप जब सत्ता में रह के चुनाव लड़े तो ट्रैक रिकॉर्ड बड़ा खराब है गहलोत साहब.
आप ठीक कह रहे हो, पर एक ये भी देखना पड़ेगा आपको, इस बार जो है इस बार माहौल दूसरा है. मैं आपको एग्जाम्पल देता हूँ केरला का. केरला में 76 साल में लगातार एक बार लेफ्ट एक बार कांग्रेस जीतती आई है. उनका गठबंधन होता है. वो हमारे 30 साल परंपरा चली पड़ी है, वह 76 साल थी. कोरोना के अंदर अच्छा काम किया सरकार ने, इस नाम से सरकार को रिपीट किया जनता ने, वहाँ की जनता ने इस बार केरला के अंदर. तो हमने तो केरला में काम अच्छा हुआ कोरोना का, हमारे यहाँ भी उससे कम नहीं हुआ, अच्छा हुआ. हमारा भीलवाड़ा मॉडल तो WHO तक पहुँच गया.
जी, आपके तो एक बार खुद प्रधानमंत्री ने भी तारीफ की थी.
प्रधानमंत्री ने तारीफ उनको भी करनी पड़ी, WHO ने तारीफ करी, और हिंदुस्तान भर में तारीफ हो रही है. शानदार मैनेजमेंट किया, ऑक्सीजन ने किसी को मरने नहीं दिया, इलाज शानदार हुआ. और उसके अलावा जो 25 लाख बीमा हम लेके आए हैं, मान लीजिए हिंदुस्तान में कहीं पे भी नहीं 5 लाख बीमा होता, वो भी 25 मिनट जनता के लिए होता है. हमारे यहाँ गरीब अमीर सबके लिए बीमा कर दिया राजस्थान के अंदर, एकमात्र राज्य राजस्थान है. राइट टू हेल्थ एक्ट बना दिया हम लोगों ने. तो आप सोचिएगा कि हमारी जो स्कीमें हैं एक के बढ़ एक, कई क्षेत्रों में हम लोग नंबर 1 है. और तो आर्थिक विकास दर में देश के अंदर बड़े राज्यों में जो है नंबर 1 तो है आंध्र प्रदेश, और नंबर 2 राजस्थान 11.04% GDP, और उत्तर भारत में नंबर 1 हम लोग हैं, राजस्थान है. तो हमने वित्तीय प्रबंधन करके दिखाया है तब जाके 30 स्कीम लेके आ रहे हैं।
महंगाई के लिए जिम्मेदार कौन है? ये राज्य जनता जो है वो कई बार मोदी जी को बोलती है तो कई बार आपको भी कहती है।
देखिए, तो जनता तो जनार्दन है, उनकी बात सबको माननी पड़ती है, पर देखिए इनकी जो मेन तो पेट्रोलियम समझ लीजिए आप सेक्टर जो है, तो डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह जी थे तब क्या रेट हो गई थी, 112 रुपये तक चली गई थी मान लीजिए अंतर्राष्ट्रीय कीमतें। तब तो समझ में आती थी कि भाई महंगा पेट्रोल डीजल है। इनके वक्त में आधा हो गया, उसके बावजूद इन्होंने क्या किया, एक्साइज ड्यूटी को बढ़ा दिया, कम नहीं किया। और इंटरेस्टिंग बात कह के मैं अपनी बात समाप्त करता हूँ कि जो एक्साइज ड्यूटी बेसिक होती है उसमें हिस्सा राज्यों का होता है, उसको तो कर दिया जीरो के बराबर कर दिया, मैंने बहुत कम कर दिया। और एक नया लगा दिया स्पेशल एक्साइज ड्यूटी, एडिशनल एक्साइज ड्यूटी और सेस 3, उस पर हिस्सा राज्यों का नहीं होता है। लूट मचा रही इन लोगों ने, जनता समझती नहीं इन बातों को।
तो समझाइए ना, चुनाव में
समझा नहीं बात है, ये समझाते हैं हम लोग,
चुनाव में है अभी समझाना पड़ेगा।
डेमोक्रेसी में समझाते भी हैं, हमारा फर्ज बनता है। पर ये बताऊँ मैं आपको कि ये तमाम जो है उसमें हिस्सा नहीं होता राज्यों का, उसमें हिस्सा खाली केंद्र का होता है, तो पूरा केंद्र ले रही है रेवेन्यू, उससे अपना काम चला रही है।
एक आखिरी सवाल, इसके बाद मैं जानता हूँ आपका वक्त ज़्यादा हो रहा है, अगले मुख्यमंत्री आपके होंगे जीते तो? इसमें कोई शक शुबा तो नहीं?
शुरू में कह चुका आपको, मैं अति संतुष्ट पॉलिटिशियन में हूँ। मुझे पार्टी ने इतना विश्वास किया मुझ पर, और सोनिया गांधी जी अध्यक्ष बनी कांग्रेस प्रेसिडेंट, उसके बाद पहला फैसला उन्होंने मुझे मुख्यमंत्री बनाने का किया था
जी 98।
तो मुझे अगर विश्वास करके 98 में मुख्यमंत्री बनाया तो मेरी ख्वाहिश तो ये रहेगी कि भाई 2 बार हम जिता नहीं पाए, चाहे मोदी जी की हवा चल गई हो एक बार, 2G स्पेक्ट्रम और कोलगेट का बदनामी करा के लोकपाल लेके आएंगे, अन्ना हजारे साहब को बैठा दिया, सब काम इन्होंने किया, RSS बीजेपी नहीं किया उस वक्त में, और मोदी जी हवा चला दी, जीत गए वो, हम लोग हार गए बुरी तरह से। उसके पहले भी कुछ कारण ऐसे रहे कि मैं उन कारणों में नहीं रहना चाहता, पर उस पर भी शानदार हमने काम किया था। तो मेरी तो ख्वाहिश ये है कि भाई सोनिया गांधी जी ने मुझ पर विश्वास किया पहली बार 98 के अंदर, तो आज कम से कम मैं एक बार उनको सरकार आके दिखा दूँ, बस ये मेरी ख्वाहिश है।
विनिंग नोट पे जाना चाहते हैं आप?
इसलिए मैं जो है चाहूँगा किसी भी तरह से मैं दिन रात काम करूँ, जो कुछ मैंने संभव था 5 साल मैंने 500 वीडियो कॉन्फ्रेंसिंग की मैंने कोरोना के वक्त में, 350 उसके अंदर खाली कोरोना के लिए थी, 500 ऑफिशियल रिकॉर्ड है। और पूरे 200 MP ML हमारे पार्टी में बीजेपी सब मिला करके, सबसे मैंने 22 घंटे बात करी, धर्मगुरुओं से बात करी, एक्टिविस्ट से बात करी, NGO से बात करी, कोई भूखा नहीं सोना चाहिए, मेरा ये नारा था, और वही हुआ। मतलब तो मैंने बहुत बारीकी से उसकी मैनेजमेंट किया, ढूंढवाए लोगों को, जो ठेले वाले थे, ठेले बंद हो गए क्योंकि लोग लॉकडाउन में बंद थे, तो घर पे वो क्या खाएं, जो लोग रात दिन सो जाते हैं, स्टेशन पर सो जाते हैं, रन बेसम रहते हैं, ढूंढा के 35 लाख लोगों को उनको मैंने DBT करवाई, बैंक में खाते खुलवा करके। कलाकार तो घर बैठे हुए, कला कौन देखे उनको 15,000 रुपये मैंने भेजे, तो हर एक चीज़ को मैंने खुद ही देखा उस वक्त में।
तो आप बनेंगे ना मुख्यमंत्री?
ये सब हाईकमांड और कांग्रेस विधायक दल तय करता है, और मुझे उसमें विश्वास है बस।
चलिए, बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद NDTV से बात करने के लिए।
NDTV for news you can trust. No sensationalism, no ugly debates, no agenda. We strive to be transparent and unbiased in our reporting so you can get news that you can rely on.
That was fast, right? But tech is evolving even quicker than our abilities to adapt, and that's how I like to roll. टेक्नोलॉजी तो आप सभी के पास है, but what you need is everything else. मेरा नाम है गौरव और अब मैं आ गया हूँ NDTV नेटवर्क पे, हर रोज हर हफ्ते, अब आपके और पास। Go beyond the now.
When it comes to sports, we set the ball rolling.
Because we have our eyes on the ball.
Because we want to get you the best.
Latest updates,
Top interviews
and analysis
from around the globe.
Election in 5 states, 679 seats, over 16 crore voters. A crucial semi-final before 2024. NDTV brings you the politics, the promises, the stories and backstories, every twist and turn of 5 high-stake battles. When it comes to elections, India trusts NDTV.
फ्रेंड्स इन दिस सेगमेंट मैं आपके साथ में कुछ इंपॉर्टेंट इंफॉर्मेशन शेयर करने वाला हूं अबाउट योर गैजेट्स. यू नो योर डिवाइस माइट बी एक्सपोज टू सम क्रिटिकल वल्नरेबिलिटीज जिसके बाद में आपका डेटा, आपका इंपॉर्टेंट जो इंफॉर्मेशन आपने स्टोर करके रखा है उस फोन में, वो सब गलत हाथों में जा सकता है. अभी ऐसा ही कुछ हुआ व्हेन द कंप्यूटर इमरजेंसी रिस्पॉन्स टीम फॉर इंडिया एक एडवाइजरी इशू करती है एंड वो बताती है कि मल्टीपल वर्जन्स ऑफ एंड्रॉयड, टॉकिंग अबाउट एंड्रॉयड 11, एंड्रॉयड 12, एंड्रॉयड 12L एंड साथ में एंड्रॉयड 13 भी, ये कुछ क्रिटिकल इश्यूज को पोज कर रहे हैं. देयर आर सम मेजर सिक्योरिटी फ्लॉज और इसका सॉल्यूशन सिर्फ एक है.
This is NDTV. And you're watching NDTV 24/7.
Good afternoon, everyone. You're watching NDTV. Let's get straight to the headlines. Bihar government has tabled the caste survey data in the assembly today. People from scheduled caste are the poorest in Bihar. The survey says 42.93% of all SC families are in the poor category. Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar's government has tabled that report on the recently released caste-based survey in the state. Mr. Kumar had earlier stressed that future plans, including extending reservations, will be made after discussions on this report. Now, there are critical findings on poverty, socio-economic status of the people of Bihar that the survey has said. Mizoram, Chhattisgarh's first phase election today. 20 of the 90 seats polled today in Chhattisgarh. Mizoram voted in a single phase. It's a multi-cornered contest in the state. Chhattisgarh and Mizoram kicked off a month-long poll battle today, while voting for 20 seats out of 90-member Chhattisgarh Assembly are taking place. For the first phase, the 40-member Mizoram Assembly is undergoing polling in a single phase. Meanwhile, the Supreme Court has slammed the state governments for politics over pollution, stressing that choking air quality is responsible for the murder of people's health. Schemes like odd even are mere optics, the Supreme Court has said on Delhi's air pollution. 3 days after she announced unconditional support to the Congress and withdrew from the Telangana polls, YSRTP chief Sharmila faces the party's ire. YSRTP leaders have resigned en masse, crying betrayal. On the Israel-Hamas war front, Gaza government has said that the death toll is over 10,000 in Gaza. The Gaza government has also said over 4,000 children have been killed. Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said that Israel is open to little pauses in the war. So the most important political development first. The second tranche of data from Bihar government's caste-based survey and the full report on the economic condition of 215 scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, backward classes and extremely backward classes was tabled in the Bihar Assembly this afternoon. This report comes amidst allegations by Union Home Minister Amit Shah. The Bihar government has inflated that the population of Yadav and Muslim communities. This is what the Home Minister had said, and he had alleged that this would affect EBC's rights. A furious Bihar Deputy Chief Minister Tejasvi Yadav had rubbished this claim, and he had said
He had asked, are Yadavs not backward? On what basis are they saying this has increased or decreased? We have scientific data to support it. This is what he had said 2 days ago. Now, the first set of data that was released last month said over 60% of Bihar hails from backward or extremely backward classes, and over 20% come from scheduled castes or scheduled tribes. Now, Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar's government had stressed that future plans, including extending reservations, would be made after a detailed discussions on this report. Now, there are critical findings on poverty, socioeconomic status of people of Bihar. First, let's look at the reactions to this development.
आज तो पेश हो ही चुका है, तो उसके बारे में बहुत ही संक्षेप में बता देंगे कि इन विषयों पर सभी जानकारी दे दी गई है, लेकिन उसके बाद सभी पार्टियों को अपनी राय देना है। तो जो भी पार्टी के लोग बोल करके एक आदमी बोलेंगे कि एक आदमी बोले, ये सुनिए ना, जो बोलेंगे तो उनको जितना बोलना है बोले ना, तो फिर क्या दिक्कत है। इसलिए कृपा करके पहले इनको मैंने जब भी रख दिए, लेकिन थोड़ा सा संक्षेप में ही, बहुत ही संक्षेप में थोड़ा बोल देंगे, लेकिन आप अपना पूरे तौर पर रख दीजिए, एक एक पार्टी की राय आ जाएगी सामने।
माननीय संसद में
सब देखिए, एक बात हम बता देते हैं, सुनिए ना। अरे काहे के लिए सबकी राय से न हुआ है भाई।
कैबिनेट में भी समर्थन किया, इसी सदन में हम लोग बैठे थे, पूरी सहमति से जताई। महोदय डेलीगेशन गया, उसमें भी हमने भागीदारी किया। महोदय गरीबों के हित में हमेशा हम साथ खड़े हैं। महोदय हर तरह की योजनाओं में भारतीय जनता पार्टी पूरा समर्थन करती है महोदय। लेकिन मैं बता देना चाहता हूं महोदय, कहना चाहेंगे, बड़े विद्वत लोग हैं, अनुभवी भी हैं, और अनुभव की किताब लेके बैठे हैं महोदय। ये अनुभव की किताब रखने वाले लोग से हम कहना चाहेंगे कि विचार ऐसा रखें, जिस विचार पर लोग विचार करें।
So I have my colleague Alok Pandey with us to explain the story to us. Alok, tell us, what are your observations from the data? Clearly worrying findings here, because less than 6% people have seemed to have completed class 10. So what does this mean for the legacy of Nitish Kumar's governance? But clearly one can say that at least the data is out there for everyone to see and make necessary interventions.
Well, you're absolutely right, Vasudha. I don't report on a day-to-day basis from Bihar anymore, but I spent a substantial amount of years in that state. And like you rightly say, the data is worrying, but at the same time, I think one would give some amount of credit to the Nitish Kumar government also for actually going ahead and publishing this data, you know. There are many governments in this country that will shy away perhaps from publishing data like this, so credit to them for that. But nevertheless, I think, like you said, the data does point to some worrying trends, particularly in terms of education and poverty. Now, if you look at the data on poverty, and I'm sure we have some graphics around it also, it says that more than 42% of families from scheduled castes and scheduled tribes are poor. And over 33% of those from backward and extremely backward classes are also poor. This number becomes 25% when it comes to general caste, which then again tells you that it is the Dalits and maybe the Mahadalits and the EBCs and the OBCs who are the poorest. Another data set that struck me was that at least 34% of families in Bihar earn only 6,000 rupees a month, which is 200 rupees a day, which is nothing. And that again paints a sorry picture for these families. And the data on education is also, you know, worrying, because one thing again that struck me was that only less than 6% of scheduled castes have finished their schooling, which is class 11 and 12. And that number rises marginally to just 9% across the state. So only 9% of those surveyed appear to have completed their class 11 and 12. And that again is a shocking statistic. I think there are a few questions that we can ask, and I'm sure our guests will be able to, you know, analyze it better for us. Nevertheless, one does then, while you have no data set for comparison as such, at the same time, Nitish Kumar has been in power for a long time, for about 18 years, if I remember correctly. Mostly he has been in power. So one then wonders, you know, whether the schemes that have been targeted at Dalits and OBCs and EBCs have worked in the state. Also then what happened before Nitish Kumar is something that needs to be analyzed. I mean, if the data now is, you know, so striking, Also, the other thing that one asks is, where do we go from here? I mean, what does the government do with this data set? And I'm sure that is a question that our guests or experts can analyze more for us.
Right. Thank you, Alok, for joining us with those details. We also have my colleague joining us from Patna, Manish Kumar. Manish, tell us what were the scenes in the assembly like today, and tell us your understanding about the data findings today.
First, Bihar is one of the first state in the country which has not only conducted the caste-based survey and the socio-economic survey, but they have also dared to table the report, because there were a lot of ifs and buts whether this survey report will be tabled or not. Of course, the survey report is on the economic front. It is really very starking. It is very, Bihar presents a very dismal picture, and it is a very comprehensive report. So obviously, somewhere, Bihar government will claim that, based on this economic survey report, socio-economic data report, they deserve to be given the special status demand. Otherwise, they will really take, several decades to catch up with the national average. Of course, at the same time, during the, discussion, the Parliamentary Affairs Minister of Bihar, Mr. Vijay Chaudhary, claimed that on the other front, like on the literacy front, there is lot of improvement. That is thanks to the initiative taken by Nitish Kumar government to, empower the girl child, and that is why on the literacy front, there are more literates among the women than the, male segment. But besides that, in the days to come, you will see that based on this survey report, Bihar government is going to increase the, present quota for the extremely backward caste as well as for the OBC, because they have not only conducted the survey. In the survey, the OBC and the EBC constitute the almost 63%, but in the during the in the socio-economic data, most of these EBC, more than 30% people are still below the poverty line.
Right.
Vasudha.
Manish, tell us what is the government plan on doing, with this data? Is any specific kind of intervention that's being planned?
Of course, in the next few days, you will see that, or during the current session only, you will see that the quota for extremely backward caste is going to be hiked. But also, they are, somewhere they are going to convert this whole data into the political weapon, and going to increase the demand for the special status for Bihar. Of course, it is not going to be so easy, even though the BJP government in the past they promised the special status, but somewhere no action was taken on that, because it is not feasible now in the given present political situation. But of course, Bihar government is going to claim that we are the first one not only to disclose all the caste survey data, but also we have presented the economic status of almost all the caste, which is going to be their main weapon in the next parliamentary elections also. Vasudha.
Right. Thank you, Manish, for joining us with those details. We also have a panel of extremely reputed experts with us. Professor Badri Narayan, who's a political analyst and social scientist, and Aditi Fadnis, who's a senior journalist. Thank you very much for joining us. Ma'am, Aditi ma'am, I'd like to go to you first. According to this data that has been released today, more than 42% of families from scheduled castes and scheduled tribes are poor, as over 33% of families which come from backward and extremely backward classes. Also, 25.09% of general category families are also similarly listed. Of those surveyed, less than 6% of the scheduled caste had finished their schooling, which is basically class 11 and 12. So clearly, this is worrying data, but of course, some better signs, at least in education and literacy. What does this mean for Nitish Kumar's legacy of governance and for his political future?
It's a glass half full and a glass half empty. If you recall, Nitish Kumar began his first term as Chief Minister with the promise that cycles to go to school. That was then extended to all sections of population of a certain age, all school-going children. He introduced many affirmative action schemes for the backward and especially the extreme backward classes. An Ayog was set up to address these issues and so on. So That's one part of the story. The other part of the story is you can tell whether these things have had an effect or not only over a period of time. So what you really need is time series data. You can't say that, if a particular tribe numbers only 4,000 and out of that 2,000 are below the poverty line, then that means 50% of the tribe is below the poverty line, which is neither here nor there. So I think we need to have much more granular data on what the exact status of caste is, and socioeconomic backwardness, economic backwardness is another issue. The other issue is upper castes are also, there are poor among the upper castes also. This is a well-known fact. And I mean, you don't need a caste survey to prove this. So I guess all this will be processed by the government. But immediately to plunge into analysis about whether, the Nitish Kumar government has done something or has failed on all fronts, I think that would be premature.
Right. It's a very interesting point, ma'am. Professor Badri Narayan,
we just need to have a sense of balance.
Absolutely, I get that. So, Professor Badri Narayan, so like ma'am was also saying, of course, the report does paint a grim picture, but it's like a glass that's half full and half empty. But this is Bihar, where those who come from marginalized communities and backward classes constitute over 80% of the population. So one could say that at least the data is here for everyone to see and plan on an intervention. How do you see this data, sir?
Vasudha, I think first thing this data says, data speaks, and what it speaks. First thing it speaks that only vertical, this reservation-based politics, which gives you the vertical mobility of a microscopic minority, is okay, but we need to do make it the horizontal, to make it horizontal, and make an intervention to distribute the state affirmative action-led resources towards margins of the margins at the horizontal level. Horizontally, we need to distribute it. And for that, they need to plan a socio-economic intervention to reach to the last point of the society like this. And it's very interesting to see this data. What Narendra Modi used to say, that Garib is itself a category, which earlier Marxists used to tell. And now, so beyond the caste, beyond the community, this Garib is there. So how to address this Garib? Second thing is, you can see that there are this data, as Aditi suggested, it should be a more comprehensive data. It's not only one-time data. There should be, and that should be compared also with the earlier data. Suppose that this the rise of population, like population of the Yadavas. No, if you see the trend from 91 to 1960, 60 years, there is very minor rise in the population in these communities. And all of a sudden, this 3.5, why and how? So we need to analyze the data, any data, in a continual term, in a long-term term. And also, Vasudha, what I miss in this entire exercise is the methodology issue, because government needs to explain the methodology in a great detail, and there should be a handbook published by those who have surveyed it as methodology. How did they did it? So these questions of whether this data is true or false or inflated will not come. So three things which I am pursuing here. One is distribution of resources horizontally, how it should be possible. Government needs to plan the strategy, and strengthen the capacity to the most marginal to aspire for going higher, to become mobile. That is needed. And EBC and also Dalit, Mahadalit exercise of the Nitish Kumar had done well. I think he needs to do a special protection programs and policies for the EBC, which is the largest community, but very poor in various sense. So EBC may be targeted in terms of making policies for development and for empowering this community. So Vasudha, this is my observation.
Absolutely. So that's a very interesting point, because the survey data also says on an average about 30% of the EBC families, EBC is the same category that Nitish Kumar comes from, it's 29.8% among dailies, rising to 30% among Kanus and other categories. So, Aditi ma'am, tell us, do you see this demand for caste census also rising and, setting the contours of 2024 Lok Sabha campaign? Because when you see data, it's glaring, it's a powerful weapon, right? So, do you see the demand rising in the coming days?
Data on its own doesn't tell us everything. And it needs to be analyzed and it needs to be interpreted, and data has to match the reality, the living reality of people whose data is being collected. So that's one part of it. But as far as caste census is concerned, yeah, the Congress has already said that it wants a caste census, and it has actually committed to carrying out a caste census in all the states where it is in power. So I think going forward, issues of caste, issues of socioeconomic deprivation, and issues of basically your place in society and how much society owes you. All these questions will become important issues. BJP may have a hard time sort of matching this, because the BJP is not exactly in denial of caste, but does not really endorse caste sees caste as a divisive issue.
Right.
So it will be interesting to see how the BJP handles this.
Yes, Professor Badrinarayan, that's an interesting point. And taking off from what Aditi ma'am said, the Prime Minister has also been talking about Garibi. This is something that you mentioned. The Home Minister, Amit Shah, in MP clearly said that the BJP is not opposed to caste census, and at an appropriate time, the party will sort of consult stakeholders. How do you see this position of the BJP, and do you see this as a challenge for the party in the coming months?
I think, Vasudha, it's a very interesting position which Amit Shah ji has suggested yesterday. That shows that, first of all, they will critique this survey and try to expose its problems and the kind of whatever they have the objections. And then they will come and say, look, we are going to do the survey, and this survey is telling this. So they will come with the other set of data. And that is the politics of data happens in every society. Those who contest for it. Secondly, what I observe that this statement of Amit Shah is going to begin a new politics in mobilization of OBC, in the history of mobilization of OBC politics, and that is going to highlight the deprivation of the EBC, which data is also saying. And he will propose that, look, EBC is ignored in politically, socially, economically, and BJP has always tried to support them. And the politics of BJP is always everywhere against dominant the OBC, mobilizing a small numbers of OBC, MBC caste, EBC caste under the BJP fold. So what was the pattern of their politics since last many years? Now they are going to strengthen that. And now they have argument also, and they are going to assert with that argument in coming politics of mobilization of OBC community in electoral politics.
Right. Thank you very much, Aditi ma'am and Professor Badrinarayan, for joining us. That was a panel on the significance of the caste data that has been released by the Bihar government today. Moving on to another poll-bound state, leaders of Telangana have stated that they are resigning. This is YSRTP leaders. They've started resigning en masse in protest of their chief, YSR Sharmila's behavior, and they're saying that she sold out to the Congress party, who trusted YSRTP Congress party president Sharmila out of respect for Rajshekhar Reddy. Remember that YSR Sharmila withdrew from the contest even though Congress and Communist parties did not ask for support. Let me speak to my colleague Uma Sudhir now. Uma, what is happening with the YSRTP? This comes just 3 days after YSR Sharmila withdrew from the poll race in Telangana. I mean, it was, of course, quite surprising because she had spent about 2 years struggling in some way. She had gone and met Sonia Gandhi also. How did you see that decision, and what is happening with her party workers today?
So there is anger among the YSR Telangana party activists that she withdrew from the race in Telangana after declaring that in all the 119 assembly seats in Telangana, her party will be contesting. That's what she had said earlier. That was seen as a pressure tactic to try and ensure that the Congress in fact comes to some sort of an understanding with her. But ultimately when she said there is an unconditional offer to support Congress because she does not want to divide the anti-incumbency vote, that has disappointed many of those who were travelling with her on that Padyatra and lent support, and because she has now said that it is the defeat of KCR that is more important, and therefore not wanting to split the anti-KCR vote. But much more important, what is happening politically here in Telangana, Vasudha, is the meeting that Prime Minister Narendra Modi is going to be addressing here in Telangana in a very short while from now. This evening he will be arriving here, and I'm standing outside the LB Stadium, where the Prime Minister, in a sense, is expected to make this is called, in fact, the backward class Gaurava Sammelan, which is for the self-respect of the backward caste. And you would recall that Mr. Amit Shah had just, in his last visit to Telangana, declared that if the BJP is voted to power by the people of Telangana, then it's a backward caste person who is going to become the Chief Minister of Telangana. And that certainly did create a huge ripple among the backward caste community, who are more than 52% of the vote in Telangana. So if the if the Congress is seen as a Reddy-dominated party, the BRS, the ruling BRS, is seen as a Velama party, and both of them have given adequate representation to Reddys and Velamas. The BJP has made it a point, one, to give more number of seats, more than 33 seats so far, to the backward caste community in their list. They have also released the 5th list today. And much more interesting, I must say, in this very stadium today, we are going to see Prime Minister Modi along with Janasena leader Pawan Kalyan. If you were to go flashback 9 years ago, 2014 is when we saw the Prime Minister along with Pawan Kalyan in this very stadium. And of course, at that time, you had Chandrababu Naidu sitting along with them. Pawan Kalyan was not contesting the election, but he lent support to the BJP, TDP at that time. And this time round, he is going to be contesting. And what we understand from our sources is that the Janasena has been allotted 8 seats in Telangana, and that's quite a substantive number. And they are hoping that he'll bring not just a star value, but he belongs to the Munnuru Kapu caste, and Chiranjeevi in 2009 had brought 18% of the vote in undivided Andhra Pradesh. That's also something that the BJP will hope with their backward caste push that he's able to bring. And the third part, very important part, is the Andhra vote that they are hoping that they will be able to bring to the BJP instead of that shifting to the Congress party. That's a very important part of the strategy for the BJP in Pawan Kalyan also being brought here to campaign in Telangana, also to contest here as part of the NDA. Back to you.
Thank you, Umar, for joining us with those details. That was my colleague Umar Sudhi right outside the PM's rally site, where the BJP is reaching out to not just BCs but also people with origins in Andhra. Time for a short break. More news and updates on the other side.
A cup of hope.
A cup of joy.
Can India lift it at home after 12 years?
We will follow their journey through the length and breadth of the country.
Through every twists and turns.
On Turning Point, on NDTV 24/7.
Okay, so we're coming towards the end, और ये है मेरा favorite section, guys. You know about it. It's Ask TG, जहाँ पे आपके सवाल होते हैं, मैं जवाब देता हूँ. तो let's see इस हफ्ते हमारे पास में क्या-क्या सवाल आए हैं, because I am ready with all my answers.
Hi TG, which mobile brands should we buy to support PM Modi's Make in India initiative?
Okay, I'll tell you something very honestly. Any phone in the market, when you see the label that it is made in India or assembled in India or something like that, go ahead, get it. That's my honest answer. आज अगर कोई फ़ोन बनता है इंडिया में, तो हम देखते हैं कि कुछ कंपोनेंट्स इंडिया से आते हैं, कुछ कंपोनेंट्स इंडिया के बाहर से भी आते हैं, और हम विद टाइम ये कोशिश कर रहे हैं कि ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा मेजॉरिटी ऑफ द कंपोनेंट्स इंडिया से आने शुरू हो जाएं. बट दिस नंबर is very difficult, you know, to go to 100% because ये बहुत ज़्यादा मुश्किल एक प्रोडक्ट है जहाँ पे बहुत सारे कंपोनेंट्स काम में आते हैं. Sometimes the protocol might not be supported. Sometimes this USB port is not sufficient to give you a display output. तो आप उस केस में Chromecast को यूज़ कर सकते हैं to cast your screen. I would say that would be an easier option. And if you can give more details about the exact model of tab that you are using या फिर आप किस तरीके से रन करना चाह रहे हैं, I might give you some more information. But as of now, I would say not all devices have the ports designed the same way. Sometimes the functionality is limited. तो आप ज़रूरी नहीं है कि उस displays का output ले पाएँ बाहर. You can use a wireless solution that way.
Hi, Technical Guruji. Is there any way at all to track my kids' smartphone usage?
Yes, very easy and it's very important as well. आपको ये काम करना चाहिए. Any phone, iPhone हो या Android phone हो, सभी में आपको screen time का option मिल जाता है. अलग-अलग नाम से आपको मिलेगा. But yes, your phone has that option. You can not just track it, you can even put a limit to it. अगर आप चाहते हैं कि your kid should not be watching YouTube for more than 30 minutes a day, आप वहाँ पे एक limit लगा सकते हैं. Same goes for all the apps, the phone in general, and in fact, you know, at the weekend, let's say, या हर दिन शाम को, you can have a look कि उस दिन में फ़ोन में कितना यूजेज हुआ है और कौन सी ऐप को कितनी देर के लिए यूज़ किया गया है. इट्स वेरी इजी एंड यू शुड डू इट.
Hi Technical Guruji, I have been thinking of adding Apple CarPlay to my car, but I haven't been able to decide if I should get an add-on CarPlay unit or completely replace my entertainment unit. Please suggest.
It depends.
इनके राज में आए दिन दंगे हुए. 19 में टोंक में हुआ, 20 में डूंगरपुर में हुआ, 21 में बारा में हुआ, 22 में करौली में हुआ, 21 में झालावाड़ में हुआ, 22 में फिर से जोधपुर में हुआ. तो इसके साथ साथ छबड़ा, भीलवाड़ा, करौली, जोधपुर, चित्तौड़गढ़, नौहर, मेवात, मालपुर और जयपुर में दंगे हुए और कन्हैयालाल जैसे कई युवाओं को बलि चढ़ाने का काम ये अशोक गहलोत की तुष्टीकरण की नीति ने किया है. मगर इसके खिलाफ मोदी जी ने पूरे देश भर में PFI पर बैन लगाकर इस तुष्टीकरण को कुचलने का मजबूत प्रयास नरेंद्र मोदी ने. झालावाड़ में कृष्णा वाल्मीकि को पीट कर मारा. अलवर में 300 साल पुराना शिव मंदिर तोड़ा. सालासर में राम दरबार पर बुलडोजर घुमाया और कहीं कोई संत भूमि बचाने के लिए ये जो खनन का अवैध कारोबार होता है इसके खिलाफ आत्मदाह क्रिया. ऐसी देश भर में कोई घटना नहीं हुई, सिर्फ राजस्थान में हुई. मैं आज गहलोत साहब को कहने आया, गहलोत साहब, राजस्थान की सरकार, जनता आपके साथ नहीं है क्योंकि वो जानती है अगर आप दोबारा आए तो फिर से PFI पर को पुनर्जीवित करने का काम अशोक गहलोत करेंगे. मित्रों, अपनी छवि चमकाने के लिए गहलोत साहब ने 2000 करोड़ का खर्चा ये 2 साल में किया है. 2 साल में 2000 करोड़ का खर्चा. और खदानों के आवंटन में जिस तरह से भ्रष्टाचार हुआ है उसकी कोई सीमा नहीं. माताओं, भाइयों, बहनों, मैं आज सुबह एयरपोर्ट से आ रहा था, कुछ कम्युनिस्ट मिल गए. उन्होंने कहा कि हम तो इस बार राजस्थान नहीं जाएंगे. मैंने बोला, भले आदमी क्यों नहीं जाओगे, जाओ, प्रचार करना चाहिए, चुनाव है, जनता को राम राम सा कहो. तो उन्होंने कहा नहीं हम प्रचार नहीं करेंगे, हमारा थोड़ा प्रॉब्लम है.
So that was Home Minister Amit Shah speaking in Makrana in Rajasthan, lashing out at the Ashok Gehlot government for alleged corruption. Moving on, the air pollution in Delhi cannot become a political battle. This is what the Supreme Court has said today, stressing that the choking air quality in Delhi is responsible for the murder of people's health. Now, the court has said that burning of crop residue in neighboring Punjab and Haryana is a key factor behind the massive spike in Delhi's air pollution every winter. The Supreme Court has also said that schemes like odd-even are mere optics. Delhi government has decided to wait for the top court order on whether to proceed with the odd-even program from 13th November or not.
लेकिन इस बीच अभी सुप्रीम कोर्ट का ऑड-इवन को लेकर के कुछ ऑब्जर्वेशन हमने मीडिया में देखा है। उसके बाद अभी हमने ये निर्णय लिया है कि सुप्रीम कोर्ट का ऑर्डर आने के बाद एक बार हम उसको स्टडी करेंगे और जो जो सुझाव या जो जो ऑर्डर में सुप्रीम कोर्ट का निर्देश आएगा उसको फिर इनकॉर्पोरेट करते हुए उसके अनुसार हम अपनी योजना को बनाएंगे।
That was Delhi Transport Minister Gopal Rai saying that he will study the Supreme Court observations before deciding on the odd-even scheme. Time for a short break. More news and updates on the other side.
घर पे जाके तुम गूगल कर लो, मेरे बारे में विकिपीडिया पे पढ़ लो। यू नो, दिस इज समथिंग दैट वी डू ऑन अ डेली बेसिस। मतलब हम सभी गूगल यूज करते हैं, हम सभी विकिपीडिया पे यूज करते हैं, बट डिड यू नो कि गूगल एक्चुअल में गूगल नहीं होना चाहिए था, वो होता गूगल। वहां से एक स्पेलिंग मिस्टेक की वजह से गूगल बन गया। अब हुआ ये, यू नो, जब स्टार्ट हुआ पूरा गूगल का आइडिया, आई टोल्ड यू पहले के एपिसोड में दैट द फर्स्ट नेम वाज बैकरब। अब बैकरब से नाम जब चेंज करना था तो द फाउंडर्स ऑफ गूगल, लैरी पेज एंड सर्गे ब्रिन, दे वर लुकिंग फॉर अ न्यू टर्म, और उनको एक टर्म मिलती है गूगल। गूगल का मतलब क्या होता है इन मैथमेटिक्स? इट्स नंबर 1 फॉलोड बाय 100 zeros। तो आइडिया ये था कि अब इतनी सारी इंफॉर्मेशन को हम एक साथ दिखाने वाले हैं, इट नो क्लियरली सिग्निफाइज द वास्ट अमाउंट ऑफ इंफॉर्मेशन ऑनलाइन। तो वहां से दिमाग में वर्ड आ गया गूगल। लेकिन जब डोमेन खरीदने गए तो उस टाइम पे गलती से GOOGOL की जगह GLE टाइप हो गया, और वहां से बना गूगल, जो आज हम सभी डेली बेसिस पे यूज करते हैं। बट डिड यू नो it was a spelling mistake that ended us with Google.
A debate has many facets, perhaps no one right answer. Left, right and center. Conversations that get to the core of the debate.
And there's too much talking but very little being said. Too many voices but hardly any being heard. You turn to a show that puts you front and center. A show that headlines the stories of the people, by the people, for the people. From breaking news to in-depth analysis, covering the latest developments across politics, business and technology, bringing you stories that shape our nation and the world.
जानकारी दी गई, तो आप उसको देख लीजिएगा। और इसके बारे में तो जो कुछ भी हुआ है, अब सभी दलों ने तब तक इस संबंध में अपनी अपनी बात रखी है। तो अब सबसे बड़ी चीज है कि देखिए, जो सबसे पहले जो आप लोग बात बोलते रहते हैं, तो हम तो पहले भी न बोल दिए थे भाई, 17 में भी बोल दिए थे, अब 20 में भी बोल दिए थे यही हाउस में। तो हम फिर आपको बता देना चाहते हैं और उस दिन जब हम लोग 9 पार्टी का मीटिंग किए, जब रिपोर्ट आ गया तब भी हम बता दिए थे कि आखिरकार कब हमारे मन की राय हुई, और बाकी कौन क्या बोलते हैं ये सब चीज को भुला जाते हैं। हम जब आप ही लोग हम लोग सब साथे थे तो हमारा जो कम्मा है उसको भुला जाते हैं, क्या भूलते हैं। याद करिए और याद करिए कि किस तरह से इसकी शुरुआत की गई। ये 90 की बात है, जब हम लोग थे केंद्र में और उस समय एमपी बन करके, तो उस समय जो कांग्रेस पार्टी ने जिनको राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्ष बनाया था, अब वो ये जो बने थे प्रेसिडेंट राष्ट्रपति थे, राष्ट्रपति महामहिम ज्ञानी जैल सिंह। आज जब हम बने थे ना मंत्री वहां, उस समय 70 की बात है, तो जहां हमको रहने का जगह मिला था उसके 3 जगह के बाद वही थे ज्ञानी जैल सिंह, और उन्हीं का खबर आया कि वो मिलना चाहते हैं। हम कह रहे भाई राष्ट्रपति थे, यहां आए थे वो, और यहां पर आए थे, और उसमें यहां पर एक उद्घाटन करने के लिए यहां पर कार्यक्रम में नहीं अस्पताल का नहीं, उनका उद्घाटन करने आए थे जेपी का, तो यहां पर आए थे। और उस समय तो उनसे परिचय हो गया था हम लोगों का, एमएलए थे तब की बात है। और जब वो हमको खबर दिए कि हम आके मिलना चाहते हैं, हम कह रहे बापू इतने बड़े नेता हैं, हम कहला हम ही चले गए। जैसे ही हम आए ऑफिस से तुरंत हम उनके यहां चले गए। आज जब गए साहब 1 घंटा उन्होंने ही हमको समझाया, कहा कि देखो एक बात समझो, जो होना चाहिए इस देश में जाति आधारित जनगणना होना चाहिए। तब उनकी बात सुन करके ही हमको समझ में आया कि इस पूरे देश में जाति आधारित जनगणना होना चाहिए। ये मेरा 1990 की बात है, और उसी समय हम इस बात को समझे, और जब इस बात को समझे तो तुरंत हम अपने सब पार्टी के बड़े बड़े नेताओं से मिले। आप समझ लीजिए कि हम चले गए श्रद्धेय मधु लिमय जी से, और उनको हम कहे, और उन्हीं के साथ बैठे हुए थे उस समय जो तत्कालीन वित्त मंत्री थे मधु दंडवते जी, सब बैठे हुए थे। हमने बताया कि उन्होंने हमको कहा, तो उन्होंने सुनने के बाद कहा कि नहीं ठीक है, जो तुम अब करो इसके बारे में तुम आगे बढ़वाओ, बात करो। और तब उस समय के माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी से भी हम मिले, विश्वनाथ प्रताप सिंह जी से, और उनको भी हमने अनुरोध किया कि जाति आधारित जनगणना होना चाहिए। अब बाद में हम उनको तो कह दिए, बाद में वो कहे कि अरे भाई शुरू हो गया है इसलिए अब इस बार पॉसिबल नहीं है, तो नहीं हुआ। लेकिन आप जान लीजिए कि उसी समय से जाति आधारित जनगणना की बात, एक बात अच्छी तरह जान लीजिए, 1990 में, 1990 कह रहे हैं, 1930 में जब ये सब शुरू हुआ था तो अंग्रेज ही राज कर रहा था उस समय, तो यहाँ का शुरू हुआ था। तब पहला बार जो हुआ था तो जाति आधारित जनगणना हुआ था, और कुछ दिन के बाद हुआ था। अब बाद में फिर जाति आधारित बंद हो गया, अब उसके बाद ये फिर हुआ कि नहीं जाति आधारित जनगणना हो जाए तो जो बड़ा अच्छा रहेगा। तो इसीलिए हम लोग शुरू से मांग करते रहे, और उसी के आधार पर आपको याद है ना, यहीं पर पास हुआ जब आप ही थे ना स्पीकर साहब वहां बैठे हुए थे, तो 19 में भी हम लोगों ने कहा कि भाई आप इसके बारे में कर दीजिए, और सर्वसम्मति से हाउस से पारित हुआ। तो हम लोगों ने सेंटर को भेजा, और दोनों हाउस में, विधानसभा विधान परिषद दोनों में, और दूसरी बार फिर 20 में भी, तो दोनों हाउस से पारित होकर के भेजा गया। लेकिन अभी जनवरी की बात है, 20 की जनवरी फरवरी की, तो उसी समय बजट के टाइम तो हम लोग तो शुरू से नहीं तैयार थे जी। अब बाद में फिर याद करिए कि हम लोगों ने तो 20 में तो आ गया कोरोना, तो शुरू नहीं हुआ, तो 21 में फिर हम लोग कहने लगे कि भाई जाति आधारित तो होबे न करेगा, ये माने जनगणना तो होगा ही ना, जाति आधारित की बात तो नहीं, जनगणना होगा। तो हम लोग रिक्वेस्ट करें, तो याद करिए ना कि हम लोग फिर 9 पार्टी के लोग बात किए आपस में 21 में, और आपस में बातचीत करके हुआ कि नहीं ठीक है। तब फिर हम लोगों ने केंद्र में माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी से अनुरोध किया कि समय दीजिए, तो उन्होंने 3-4 महीना के बाद समय दिया। हम लोग मिले, हम मिल करके सब लोग न गए थे जी, आज सब तो साथी थे, तब भुला गए। आप लोगों में से किसी को मौका नहीं मिला, अरे अरे मौका किसको मिला? जो दूसरा पटिया से ज्वाइन कर लिया था उसी को दे दिया। हमने कहा काहे का इस बेचारे को उतना मालूम है, कहना बोले, उसको भी हम इज्जत करते हैं, लेकिन वो भी बोला कि नहीं होना चाहिए। और सब लोग बोले, ये लोग सब थे विपक्ष में थे, हम लोग तो इधर थे, आप भी इधर थे। और उस समय जाके उनको हम लोगों ने अनुरोध किया और अंत में बाद में वो कहे कि नहीं साहब जो होगा नहीं अभी। एक बात ऐसे ही जनरली कह दिया गया कि भाई अपना राज्य में करना है तो अगर उस समय की बात है भूलिएगा मत। अभी तो जाता है कोर्ट में, कौन जाता है? खोजना ना चाहिए कि ये जाता है कोर्टवा में। याद करिए ना भाई, उसी समय बात हुआ, तब हम लोगों ने फिर मीटिंग किया 9 पार्टी का कि हम लोग करेंगे, तो सबकी सहमति हुई। और जनगणना, जाति आधारित जनगणना तो केंद्र का था, तो हम लोगों ने कहा कि जनगणना का तो पावर उनको है, तो हम लोग जाति आधारित गणना करेंगे। जनगणना नहीं, उसमें भी सब कह रहा था, तो कह रहे जनगणना तो करेगा केंद्र, हम लोग तो गणना की बात किए। तो एक एक बात कह करके हम लोगों ने सफाई दी थी और उसी आधार पर सबके राय से आज जो काम शुरू कर दिया गया, बोलिए। और उसी आधार पर जो हुआ, फिर अलग अलग भी हो गए, अलग बात है, लेकिन सबकी सहमति से हुई है। और उसके लिए बड़े पैमाने पर लोगों को लगाया गया, उस सबकी ट्रेनिंग हुई और उसके आधार पर उन लोगों ने काम करना शुरू किया है और उसी के आधार पर हुआ। और वो जब चल रहा था तो बीच में कोई कोर्ट में कर दिया, तो जनवरी याद करिए, इसी साल के जनवरी में सबसे पहले उन लोगों ने कहा कि जितने लोगों का बिल्डिंग है, घर है, उस सब के घर पर जाकर के एक एक जगह देख करके और सब में लिख करके दिया, बात किया कि आप लोग कौन कौन हैं, और वहां पर एक एक चीज लिख किया। और उसके बाद फिर और भी पूरा जब एक जगह से निकला तो और भी पूरा अपना मीटिंग करके उन लोगों ने आपस में विचार करके और इसका काम 4 महीने के बाद शुरू किया। और कहा कि थोड़ा समय दे दीजिए, और समय दे दिया गया और उसको उन लोगों ने काम करना शुरू कर दिया। और जब काम शुरू हो रहा था, काफी तेजी से काम हो रहा था, तब तक वो कोर्ट में चला गया, तो कोर्ट ने इसको रोक दिया। लेकिन कुछ महीना के बाद कोर्ट में फिर हुआ, तो कोर्ट ने कहा कि ना, ये हम राज्य सरकार को अधिकार है, कोई बात नहीं, हम नहीं इंटरफेयर करते हैं, उसको कैंसिल कर दिया। तो काम शुरू हो गया। और उस बीच में सुप्रीम कोर्ट में भी चला गया। सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने कहा कि नहीं, हम इसमें इंटरफेयर नहीं करेंगे, और समय बहुत आगे का दे दिया है, बोलिए कई महीना के बाद। इस बीच में पूरा काम शुरू हो गया। तब पूरा काम जब शुरू हो गया तो जो भी जाति आधारित गणना के आधार पर जो भी रिपोर्ट्स आए, तो उन रिपोर्ट्स के आधार पर फिर हम लोगों ने जो बात किया, बोलिए आपस में बैठ करके बातें न कर दिए, 9 पार्टियों का सब लोग बैठ करके बातें किए। और उसमें भी हम लोगों ने कहा, सब लोग कुछ कुछ बोल रहे थे, हम कह रहे देखिए ना भाई, आ रहा है रिपोर्ट, और हम लोगों ने तो इसमें कहीं ना दिया था कि जाति आधारित गणना तो होगा ही, लेकिन इसके साथ साथ सबकी आर्थिक स्थिति का भी हम लोग करेंगे। याद करिए ना, हम लोगों ने तय किया था कि हम सिर्फ गणना नहीं करेंगे, उसके अलावे सभी परिवार की आर्थिक स्थिति के बारे में जानकारी लेंगे। तो ये दोनों काम करके, तो उसी समय हम कह दिया कि दोनों रिपोर्टवा वो फाइनल कर लिया है, और जब हाउस शुरू होगा तो उसमें सब चीजों को रख दिया जाएगा और उसमें भी सब लोगों की राय ली जाएगी। तो अब तो बात रख न दिया गया है भाई, अब इतना बढ़िया रिपोर्ट हो गया है। अब कहीं कहीं कोई बोल देता है कि इस जात का बढ़ गया, उस जात का बढ़ गया। हमको जरा बताइए, जब इसके पहले जाति आधारित जनगणना हुई ही नहीं, तो आप कैसे कह रहे हैं कि जात का घट गया, इस जात का बढ़ गया? ये बहुत बोगस बात है, बहुत बोगस बात है, ये सब नहीं बोलना चाहिए। और जब भी हुआ है केंद्र सरकार के द्वारा, सुनिए, बैठिए ना, अरे आप हमारे मित्र हैं, बैठिए ना, मेरा बतवा सुन लीजिए, उसके बाद सुने, हम बात कह देंगे, इसके बाद आप कुछ कहना चाहिएगा तो आपका भी सुनेंगे। मेरा बतवा प्लीज सुन लीजिए, हम तो आपका बतवा नहीं, आपको इज्जत कितना करते हैं।
बढ़ गया। कैलाश जी, क्या माहौल है?
आप देख लीजिए माहौल क्या है, लोग बहुत प्यार करते हैं।
The BJP is going all out in these elections in Madhya Pradesh. 3 union ministers, 4 MPs and a party general secretary have all been fielded as candidates.
The face of CM doesn't matter that much now. Even the opposition side, the fractions they are divided into gives a very vague idea what they are going to do with our state.
ना हमारा गरीबी रेखा का भी कूपन आया तो नहीं दिया।
सरकार तो जब तक के अभी इनको वोटिंग चाहिए, हम लोगों से, जनताओं से इनको वोट की जरूरत है, जब तक कुछ करेंगे।
परिवर्तन से क्या होगा?
परिवर्तन से क्या होगा? कुछ नहीं, कुछ तो अच्छा होगा। जो जीता वो सिकंदर, बाबा महाकाल की कृपा देखो अब किस पे होती है।
This show isn't just about news from the southern states. It's one that looks at the rest of India and the world from a diverse South India point of view, because NDTV has always taken the southern view seriously.
The Southern View with Veera Raghav, only on NDTV 24/7.
NDTV for news you can trust. No sensationalism, no ugly debates, no agenda. We strive to be transparent and unbiased in our reporting so you can get news that you can rely on.
That was fast, right? But tech is evolving even quicker than our abilities to adapt. And that's how I like to roll. टेक्नोलॉजी तो आप सभी के पास है, but what you need is everything else. मेरा नाम है गौरव और अब मैं आ गया हूँ एनडीटीवी नेटवर्क पे, हर रोज हर हफ्ते, अब आपके और पास. Go beyond the now.
When it comes to sports, we set the ball rolling.
Because we have our eyes on the ball.
Because we want to get you the best.
Latest updates.
Top interviews.
And analysis.
From around the globe.
Election in 5 states, 679 seats, over 16 crore voters. A crucial semi-final before 2024. NDTV brings you the politics, the promises, the stories and backstories. Every twist and turn of 5 high-stake battles. When it comes to elections, India trusts NDTV.
फ्रेंड्स, इन दिस सेगमेंट मैं आपके साथ में कुछ इंपॉर्टेंट इंफॉर्मेशन शेयर करने वाला हूं अबाउट योर गैजेट्स. यू नो, योर डिवाइस माइट बी एक्सपोज टू सम क्रिटिकल वल्नरेबिलिटीज, जिसके बाद में आपका डेटा, आपका इंपॉर्टेंट जो इंफॉर्मेशन आपने स्टोर करके रखा है उस फोन में, वो सब गलत हाथों में जा सकता है. अभी ऐसा ही कुछ हुआ व्हेन द कंप्यूटर इमरजेंसी रिस्पॉन्स टीम फॉर इंडिया एक एडवाइजरी इशू करती है एंड वो बताती है कि मल्टीपल वर्जन्स ऑफ एंड्रॉयड, टॉकिंग अबाउट एंड्रॉयड 11, एंड्रॉयड 12, एंड्रॉयड 12L एंड साथ में एंड्रॉयड 13 भी, ये कुछ क्रिटिकल इश्यूज को पोज कर रहे हैं. देयर आर सम मेजर सिक्योरिटी फ्लॉज और इसका सोल्यूशन सिर्फ एक है कि गूगल एक अपडेट इशू करेगा और जितने भी मैन्युफैक्चरर्स हैं वो बाद में उस अपडेट को अपने अपने डिवाइसेस में पुश करेंगे.
The latest and more dangerous and damaging form of misinformation. After a deepfake video of actor Rashmika Mandana's face went viral, the IT ministry has now sent an advisory to social media companies with existing IT intermediary rules that states penalties and punishment for impersonation. Let me go across to my colleague Meet Rafe for more details on this. Meet, tell us, what has the ministry told the social media companies, and what do existing IT intermediary rules state on deepfakes?
Hi, Vasudha. The IT intermediary rules, according to Rule 3(2)(b), the social media intermediary shall observe due diligence, including ensuring the rules and regulations, privacy policy or user agreement of the intermediary, and they will inform user not to host any content that impersonates another person. And Rule 3(2) also states the intermediary shall, within 24 hours from the receipt of a complaint in relation to any content in the nature of impersonation in an electronic form, including artificially morphed images of such individual, take all measures to remove or disable access to such content.
Right. Mir, is it possible for regulation to control deepfakes? Because AI manipulated digital media has been a cause of concern for many governments. There is this question of jurisdiction, also the question of location. So how do you see regulation actually playing a role in controlling deepfakes?
Social media companies can act according to the government guidelines and make sure that the content is pulled out from their platform or disable the videos so that it does not lead to mass spreading.
Thank you, Mir, for joining us with those details. Moving on, in 40 seats of Mizoram and 20 constituencies of Chhattisgarh, polls were held today. This marks the beginning of an exercise billed as a virtual semi-final before the general elections. Let's take a look at this report. In Chhattisgarh, voter turnout till 3 p.m. was 58.9, while in Mizoram it was 68.0 till 3 p.m. 20 assembly seats went to polls in Chhattisgarh today, while Mizoram voted, 40 seats of Mizoram voted in a single-phase election today. 12 assembly seats of Naxal-hit Bastar are also among the 20 constituencies where voting was held. Above 60,000 security personnel were deployed for the smooth conduct of polls in the sensitive zone. It is expected to be a close contest between the Congress and the BJP in Chhattisgarh, as both parties are trying to win the support of tribal voters. The Grand Old Party is banking on its legacy of welfare schemes and support for tribal rights, while the BJP is focusing on development and infrastructure. In 2018, the Congress won 17 of the 20 seats, while the BJP had just won 2. Now, the second phase of voting in Chhattisgarh will happen on November 17th, while the votes will be counted on December 3rd. In Mizoram, meanwhile, the contest is between the ruling Mizo National Front, the Zoram People's Movement, the Congress and the BJP. And also, Arvind Kejriwal's Aam Aadmi Party is also one of the contenders. In 2018, the MNF returned to power in Mizoram after a decade, defeating the Congress in its last bastion in the northeast. This election, the MNF has contested the polls on its own, with Chief Minister Zoramthanga hitting out at the centre for his alleged mishandling of the violence in the neighbouring state of Manipur. While the MNF, Congress and ZPM are contesting all 40 seats, the BJP has put up candidates in 23 seats. PM Modi, meanwhile, has said that whenever Congress forms the government in this area, crime rate increases, while CM Baghel had said that Congress, no expenses for a child's education from KG to PG. This is the big promise by the Congress government in Chhattisgarh.
कांग्रेस की एक और बड़ी नाकामी पे रही है। जब जब कांग्रेस सरकार में आती है, तब तब देश में आतंकवादियों और नक्सलियों के हौसले बढ़ जाते हैं। जहां भी देखो, इधर कभी बम फूटने की खबर आती है, कभी उधर बम फूटने की खबर आती है, कभी यहां मार दिया काट दिया की खबर आती है, कभी यहां मार दिया काट दिया की खबर आती थी। जिस जिस राज्य में कांग्रेस सत्ता में होती है, वहां अपराध का, लूटपाट का राज ही चलता है।
आपको बोनस दिया जाएगा, बच्चों की पढ़ाई में कोई शुल्क नहीं लगेगा। केजी टू पीजी पहली कक्षा से लेके अब पोस्ट ग्रेजुएशन तक के आपको पढ़ाई में कोई खर्च नहीं होगा। उसी प्रकार से 35 किलो राशन सभी परिवार को मिलेगा, चाहे एपीएल हो, बीपीएल हो। 500 रुपया गैस सिलेंडर, जितने भी जिसके पास भी गैस कनेक्शन है, चाहे उज्ज्वला हो या दूसरे, सबको उसका लाभ मिलेगा।
So that was Prime Minister Narendra Modi speaking in Sarguja in Chhattisgarh earlier today, and also Chief Minister Bhupesh Baghel reiterating the promises made by the Congress for the state. Time for a short break. More news and updates on the other side.
A cup of hope,
a cup of joy.
Can India lift it at home after 12 years?
We will follow their journey through the length and breadth of the country.
Through every twists and turns.
On Turning Point, on NDTV 24/7.
Okay, so we're coming towards the end और ये है मेरा favorite section, guys. You know about it. It's Ask TG, जहाँ पे आपके सवाल होते हैं, मैं जवाब देता हूँ. तो let's see इस हफ्ते हमारे पास में क्या-क्या सवाल आए हैं, because I am ready with all my answers.
Hi TG, which mobile brands should we buy to support PM Modi's Make in India initiative?
Okay, I'll tell you something very honestly. Any phone in the market, when you see the label that it is made in India or assembled in India or something like that, go ahead, get it. That's my honest answer. आज अगर कोई फ़ोन बनता है इंडिया में तो हम देखते हैं कि कुछ कंपोनेंट्स इंडिया से आते हैं, कुछ कंपोनेंट्स इंडिया के बाहर से भी आते हैं और हम विद टाइम ये कोशिश कर रहे हैं कि ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा मेजॉरिटी ऑफ द कंपोनेंट्स इंडिया से आने शुरू हो जाएं. बट दिस नंबर is very difficult, you know, to go to 100% because ये बहुत ज़्यादा मुश्किल एक प्रोडक्ट है जहाँ पे बहुत सारे कंपोनेंट्स काम में आते हैं. Sometimes the protocol might not be supported. Sometimes this USB port is not sufficient to give you a display output. तो आप उस केस में Chromecast को यूज़ कर सकते हैं to cast your screen. I would say that would be an easier option. And if you can give more details about the exact model of tab that you're using या फिर आप किस तरीके से रन करना चाह रहे हैं, I might give you some more self information. But as of now, I would say not all devices have the ports designed the same way. Sometimes the functionality is limited. तो आप ज़रूरी नहीं है कि उस displays का output ले पाएँ बाहर. You can use a wireless solution that way.
Hi, Technical Guruji. Is there any way at all to track my kids' smartphone usage?
Yes, very easy and it's very important as well. आपको ये काम करना चाहिए. Any phone, iPhone हो या Android phone हो, सभी में आपको screen time का option मिल जाता है. अलग-अलग नाम से आपको मिलेगा. But yes.
This is NDTV, and you're watching NDTV 24/7.
Big semi-final battle ahead of 2024. The voting in Mizoram concludes. In Chhattisgarh, the voter turnout's nearly 60% till 3 p.m. Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar government has in fact tabled the report on the recently released caste-based survey, which focuses on the socio-economic data. In fact, the critical findings on poverty and on the social economic status of the people of Bihar. The survey says that nearly 43% of all SC families in Bihar are in the poor category. Supreme Court slams state governments for politics over pollution, stresses that choking air quality is responsible for the murder of people's health. 3 days after she announced unconditional support to the Congress and withdrew from Telangana polls, YSRTP chief Sharmila faces ire of her party men. YSRTP leaders resign en masse, cry betrayal. Fallout of actor Rashmika Mandana's deepfake video. IT Ministry sends advisory to social media companies with the existing intermediary rules and states penalties and punishment for impersonation. Right, our top focus, of course, on the elections, and as we know that this is the first day of the elections which are taking place in the 5 states. All 40 seats in Mizoram went to polls today, and in Chhattisgarh, as we know, 20 out of the 90 seats voting is in fact being conducted over there. And as we know that these are, of course, two very key states. And we'll go across straight to my colleagues Ratnadeep and Sunil, who are joining us from Mizoram and Chhattisgarh respectively. Ratnadeep, coming to you first. I believe that voting in Mizoram has just concluded.
That's right. Voting has officially concluded at 4 p.m. However, we are at a polling booth in Mission Vang locality of Aizawl, and you can see here hundreds of voters are still in the queue, and they have been given token numbers and they will be allowed to vote. This is a regular practice. You can see here, if I can ask my camera person to pan, the entry to the polling booth has been closed at 4 p.m. and after that those people who have entered the polling booth before 4 p.m. have been allowed to cast their vote, and similar scenes are there in many polling booths in Aizawl where people are still waiting to cast their vote because the poll process throughout the day has been a little slow. However, till 3:30 p.m. The information that we have from the election commission sources is that around 70% polling has already taken place. Now the way people came out in large number, one would hope that this time the poll turnout would be much higher than the 81% registered in the last election in 2018, and you can see some young voters here waiting to cast their vote in the last hour. If I can get your name, you're a first-time voter?
No, this is my second time.
Your second time, and you have come here in the last hour to vote. There's a lot of enthusiasm among youngsters. What are you looking forward to in terms of the new government?
The new government, fair, what will I say? Fair government and non-corruption.
And we did see a lot of young people this time getting involved in campaigning as well. So young voters are more than 62% this time in Mizoram. Do you think that the young voters will become a major factor?
Yeah, I think that the young generations will become a major factor because the youth are increasingly becoming aware in these types of things, and I think it's a good thing. It's a good trend, and we're hoping that the new government will provide more empowerment to the youths and women as well. Thank you.
So there you are. You can see the election officials giving out the tokens to those people who have entered the polling booth before 4 p.m. and similar scenes being reported in other parts of Mizoram. The polling has been peaceful, and now all eyes will be in terms of the results which will come on December 3, and the fate of the politicians, some of the bigwigs would be decided. People would decide whether Mizoram keeps the trend going. There is a trend in Mizoram that government only gets changed after 10 years. And in that way, the MNF government has only completed 5 years. But this time, the ZPM, another regional party, is giving them a very tough fight. And also the Congress is trying for a revival, the BJP trying to make inroads in a Christian state.
That's right. Ratnadeep, stay with us. Let me also go across to my colleague Sunil, who's also been reporting on the Chhattisgarh elections. And as we know, till around 3 o'clock, in those 20 seats of Chhattisgarh which have gone to polls today, nearly 60% voter turnout has in fact taken place, Sunil. So, Sunil, considering the fact that this is Bastar that we are talking about, is this, compared to previous years, a good turnout that the authorities are looking at?
Well, it has been pretty good. It's much better than the previous terms, and we'll have to wait for the final data before we can give that assessment and analyze it in comparison to the last. But I'm here at an interesting polling booth, Gorda, where the villagers had said that they will not cast their ballot. They were upset because there's been indiscriminate mining, their water was affected. And it's in this context that they had, in fact, decided till day before yesterday, or in fact, till early hours of day before yesterday morning, that they wouldn't take part in the entire election process, and they were planning to ban and not participate. It's with the Election Commission's intervention and with the SDM's assurance that they must participate, that they have decided to, take part in this exercise, and there has been a reasonable turnout here. And as you can see, there's a huge crowd. I'm joined by first-time voters here. इस बार आपका क्या मुद्दा है आप लोग के लिए? आप पहले लोग बोल रहा था कि आप वोट मत देना, फिर अभी आप लोग आ गया, क्यों आए?
हमारी समस्या को सुनेंगे, इसीलिए आए हैं कि समस्या को सुने, उसका निराकरण करे, इसलिए हम लोग वोट देना चाहे हैं।
वोट देना हमारे जो भारत के हर नागरिक का अधिकार है, तो हमें भी वोट देना चाहिए, इसलिए हम भी वोट देने आए हैं।
So here you have it, this is the scenes from the first time voters, what they feel. आप पहले बार वोट कर रहे हैं, आपको कैसा लग रहा है पार्टिसिपेट करने में?
पहले तो एक्साइटमेंट भी है और नर्वस भी हूँ कि फर्स्ट टाइम है कि कैसा होगा, लेकिन एक्साइटमेंट ज़्यादा है कि किस टाइप का होगा। शौक भी था कि फर्स्ट टाइम है, देना चाहिए ऐसा करके।
अच्छा लग रहा है वोट देने से।
और आपको?
बहुत ही अच्छा लग रहा है।
क्यों अच्छा लग रहा है?
क्योंकि वोट देना हमारा कर्तव्य है और फर्स्ट बार दे रहे हैं इसलिए।
So these are the scenes here. You can see the sense of feeling. They are very happy with this entire process of participating in the electoral process. And by and large, I think the feeling here is that the election process has really, with the help of the administration, last-minute assurance, we are seeing people participate. There's been nearly 60% voting that is taking place in this place when there was a fear of nobody ready to cast their ballot more than less than 24 hours ago. So that's the scenes here. There's been by and large, good turnout.
Right.
We'll have to wait and see in the Maoist affected areas where the threat of violence, what impact it has had on the various places that are going to the polls there. So that assessment will take some time to be determined.
That's right, Sunil. That data will come out in some time. Thank you so much for both of you joining us on the broadcast here. Ratnadeep and Sunil reporting on the state elections in Mizoram and Chhattisgarh. Meanwhile, there are political reactions which have come in on the elections today. Prime Minister Modi, in fact, said that whenever Congress forms the government in that area, crime rate increases, while Chhattisgarh Chief Minister Bhupesh Baghel said that under Congress, no expense for child's education and that the Congress governments take care of and prioritize education for children.
कांग्रेस की एक और बड़ी नाकामी भी रही है। जब कांग्रेस सरकार में आती है, तब देश में आतंकवादियों और नक्सलियों के हौसले बढ़ जाते हैं। जहां भी देखो इधर कभी बम फूटने की खबर आती है, कभी उधर बम फूटने की खबर आती है, कभी यहां मार दिया काट दिया की खबर आती है, कभी यहां मार दिया काट दिया की खबर आती थी। जिस राज्य में कांग्रेस सत्ता में होती है, वहां अपराध का, लूटपाट का राज ही चलता है।
आपको बोनस दिया जाएगा। बच्चों की पढ़ाई में कोई शुल्क नहीं लगेगा। केजी टू पीजी पहली कक्षा से लेके अब पोस्ट ग्रेजुएशन तक के आपको पढ़ाई में कोई खर्च नहीं होगा। उसी प्रकार से 35 किलो राशन सभी परिवार को मिलेगा, चाहे एपीएल हो बीपीएल हो। 500 रुपया गैस सिलेंडर, जितने भी जिसके पास भी गैस कनेक्शन है, चाहे उज्ज्वला हो या दूसरे, सबको उसका लाभ मिलेगा।
Meanwhile, in Madhya Pradesh, it's exactly 10 days from now when the elections will in fact take place, and in the commercial capital of the state, Indore, is in Malwa region. In 2018, when the Congress won the state narrowly, it was riding high on an impressive performance in this belt. 9 assembly constituencies fall under Indore. We caught up with a group of teachers in a private institute in Indore to gauge the pulse of voters in the iconic city.
महिलाएं किस मुद्दे पर वोट करेंगी?
महिलाएं मैम अपने परिवार के सेफ्टी सिक्योरिटी के लिए, जो यंगस्टर्स हैं उनके भविष्य के लिए क्या सोच रही है सरकार, that is going to decide that how safe is the next generation, that will decide the vote for us.
Okay, so safety of next generation.
Equality must prevail everywhere. आरक्षण सब खत्म हो जाए।
अच्छा, न्यू गवर्नमेंट जो भी आए या जो भी हमारी इच्छा है सरकार से, वो ऐसा कुछ है कि आप एजुकेशन को प्रायोरिटी दो, मुफ्त की चीज़ें जो भी हैं, क्योंकि हम टैक्स पेयर हैं, बेसिकली वी ऑल आर टैक्स पेयर। तो अगर हम टैक्स पे कर रहे हैं और गवर्नमेंट सारी चीज़ें फ्री में ही दे रही है, तो अगर उनके पास इतना पैसा है तो वो हमसे टैक्स ना लें। एजुकेशन बेस्ट करने की कोशिश करें। सेफ्टी पर्पस एक हमारा बेसिक वो रिक्वायरमेंट है ही, सेफ्टी हो, एजुकेशन हो, और कुछ भी ऐसी ही चीज़ें फ्री। तो जनरेशन हमारी पढ़ी लिखी है, तो ऐसी फ्री के चीज़ों में हम नहीं
तो आपको लगता है इस बार कॉम्पिटिटिव वेलफेयरिज्म चल रहा है? भाजपा ने कुछ गारंटी अनाउंस किया, फिर कांग्रेस ने किया, इसी तरह से चल रहा है।
बिल्कुल, लेकिन हमको उसकी रिक्वायरमेंट ही नहीं है। हम चाह ही नहीं रहे कि हमको कुछ फ्री में मिले, हमको क्वालिटी चाहिए। तो आप हमको कुछ भी फ्री में ना दें, क्योंकि हम आपको दे रहे हैं, हम टैक्स पेयर हैं, तो हम आपको दे रहे हैं, तो आप उसके रिवर्स में हमको कुछ क्वालिटी दो।
लेकिन रेवड़ी कल्चर तो प्रधानमंत्री बोलते हैं, लेकिन उनकी पार्टी भी तो रेवड़ी की बात कर रही है इस चुनाव में।
हाँ, तो हम तो उसको अपोज कर ही रहे हैं ना मैम। हम बोल ही रहे हैं कि इस तरह की रेवड़ियाँ ना बटे, मिले, लेकिन जो जेन्युइन है, जो डिजर्विंग है, उसको मिले।
मैं ये कहना चाहूँगी, जैसे कि एकता तो बात करते हैं डिजिटल इंडिया की, तो जब आप डिजिटल इंडिया की बात कर रहे हो तो आपको चुनाव प्रचार करना है, तो आप दूसरी चीज़ों को क्यों बिगाड़ते हैं?
जो मुद्दा है महिलाओं के लिए, मुद्दा क्या है?
महिलाओं के लिए मैम इक्वल अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ मिलना चाहिए। बेसिक है एजुकेशन। अगर महिलाएं एजुकेटेड हो जाएंगी तो 50% जो उनकी प्रॉब्लम है वो ऐसे ही रिजॉल्व हो जाएगी।
वो हमको जागना चाहिए। हमको जागना इसलिए चाहिए कि सामने वाला हमको क्या दे रहा है। आपको स्किल्ड नहीं बनाया जा रहा है, आपको घर बैठे मुफ्त की चीज़ें दी जा रही हैं। उससे जो आपकी चीज़ें, आपके अंदर जो कैपेबिलिटी है ना, वो भी एक टाइम के बाद ख़त्म हो जाएंगी। आप डिपेंडेंट हो जाओगे। तो बजाय कि आप 1000 रुपये दे रहे हो, 1500 की इंश्योरिटी दे रहे हो, उससे अच्छा है कि आप उनको एजुकेशन दो। हर कैटेगरी के लिए आप ऐसा करो कि इतने टाइम तक आपको फ्री एजुकेशन है। आप अगर कैपेबल हो, इससे अच्छी जगह जा रहे हो,
भी यदि कुछ देना है तो उनको स्किल सिखाई जाए। गवर्नमेंट चलाए ना, ट्रेनिंग सेंटर्स चलाएं जहाँ पे उनको कुछ सिखाया जाए, ताकि वो लॉन्ग लाइफ। ये स्कीम कितने टाइम चलेगी मैम? 3 महीने 4 महीने, जब तक चुनाव है तब तक। धीरे से फिर उसको या तो बंद हो जाएगा या कम हो जाएगा, कुछ तो होगा। तो वो जो और व्यक्ति क्या है, 1200 1250 रुपये अकाउंट में आ रहा है, तो एक काम उसने छोड़ दिया, तो वो डिपेंडेंट हो रहा है मैम। मतलब
तो इस बार क्या महिलाएं मध्य प्रदेश की बदलाव चाह रही हैं, या उनको लगता है कि शिवराज सिंह चौहान की सरकार सही काम कर रही है?
मैम, बदलाव इज़ नीडेड, बिकॉज़ ये सरकार सिर्फ बांट रही है, और अब तो ये लाडली बहना से लेडीज़ को बांटा जा रहा है, वो युवा रोज़गार से यूथ को पैसे दिए जा रहे हैं, बट नोबडी इज़ वर्किंग ऑन द लॉन्ग टर्म इम्प्रूवमेंट।
Shifting tracks now, and air pollution in the national capital can't become a political battle. That's what the Supreme Court said today, stressing that the choking air quality is responsible for murder of people's health. The court said that burning of crop residue in neighbouring Punjab and Haryana is a key factor behind the massive spike in Delhi's air pollution every winter. Cabinet Secretary to convene the meeting on stubble burning has in fact called for a meeting on stubble burning between the states of Punjab, Haryana, Rajasthan, UP and Delhi governments have been called in this particular meeting. The Supreme Court also said that schemes like odd and even are mere optics, and that the Delhi government, for that matter, in fact, now has decided to wait for the top court order and before they come out with further rules of the odd even scheme, which they want to start from next week.
लेकिन इस बीच अभी सुप्रीम कोर्ट का ऑड इवन को लेकर के कुछ ऑब्जर्वेशन हमने मीडिया में देखा है। उसके बाद अभी हमने ये निर्णय लिया है कि सुप्रीम कोर्ट का ऑर्डर आने के बाद एक बार हम उसको स्टडी करेंगे, और जो जो सुझाव या जो जो ऑर्डर में सुप्रीम कोर्ट का निर्देश आएगा, उसको फिर इनकॉर्पोरेट करते हुए उसके अनुसार हम अपनी योजना को बनाएंगे।
अब तो सुप्रीम कोर्ट की इस फटकार के बाद कम से कम आम आदमी पार्टी को दिल्ली की जनता से माफी मांगनी चाहिए, और केंद्र पर, यूपी पर, हरियाणा पर प्रदूषण का दोष डालना बंद करना चाहिए, और अपनी जो जिम्मेदारी है उसको उठाना चाहिए। सुप्रीम कोर्ट की जो तल्ख टिप्पणियां आई है पंजाब की पराली को लेकर, और जिस प्रकार से दिल्ली गैस चेंबर बन चुकी है, उसको लेकर आज स्पष्ट है कि आम आदमी पार्टी पूर्ण तरीके से विफल रही है, और उन्हीं के कारण आज दिल्ली गैस चेंबर बन चुकी है। पूरी दुनिया में सबसे प्रदूषित राजधानी है। 999 भी पहुंच चुका है AQI इंडेक्स कुछ जगहों पर, लगातार 5-6 दिन से सीवियर कैटेगरी में रहा है, और दिल्ली गैस चेंबर बन चुकी है।
सुप्रीम कोर्ट पहले दिल्ली का तो पोल्यूशन खत्म कर दे, वो हरियाणा का तो पोल्यूशन खत्म कर दे, यार इतनी दूर दिल्ली कैसे पोल्यूशन चला गया? पहले केंद्रीय जो केजरीवाल था वो हमें बदनाम करता रहा, जब उनकी गवर्नमेंट बन गई पंजाब में पोल्यूशन खत्म। ये सोचने की बात है और गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया का ये फर्ज बनता है कि पंजाब एक अन्नदाता स्टेट है।
Another one of the top stories that we are following, the second tranche of data from the Bihar government's caste-based survey and the full report on the economic condition of 215 scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, backward classes and extremely backward classes. This report was tabled in the Bihar Assembly this afternoon. The report comes amid allegations by Union Home Minister Amit Shah that the Bihar government had inflated the population or the number of the percentage shown in this report of the Yadav and the Muslim communities, thereby affecting EBC's rights. Furious Bihar Deputy Chief Minister Tejasvi Yadav had rubbished the claim. And in fact, we've seen that the first set of data was released last month, and it said that over 60% of Bihar hails from backward or extremely backward classes, and over 20% come from scheduled caste or scheduled tribes.
इस पूरे देश में जाति आधारित जनगणना होना चाहिए, ये मेरा 1990 की बात है और उसी समय हम इस बात को समझे और जब इस बात को समझे तो तुरंत हम अपने सब पार्टी के बड़े बड़े नेताओं से मिले। समझ लीजिए कि हम चले गए श्रद्धेय मधु लिमय जी से और उनको हम कहे और उन्हीं के साथ बैठे हुए थे उस समय जो तत्कालीन वित्त मंत्री थे मधु दंडवते जी, सब बैठे हुए थे। हमने बताया कि उन्होंने हमको कहा तो उन्होंने सुनने के बाद कहा कि नहीं ठीक है, जो तुम अब करो इसके बारे में तुम आगे बढ़वाओ, बात करो। और तब उस समय के माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी से भी हम मिले, विश्वनाथ प्रताप सिंह जी से, और उनको भी हमने अनुरोध किया कि जाति आधारित जनगणना होना चाहिए।
कैबिनेट में भी समर्थन किया, इसी सदन में हम लोग बैठे थे, पूरी सहमति से जताई। महोदय डेलीगेशन गया, उसमें भी हमने भागीदारी किया। महोदय गरीबों के हित में हमेशा हम साथ खड़े हैं। महोदय हर तरह की योजनाओं में भारतीय जनता पार्टी पूरा समर्थन करती है महोदय। लेकिन मैं बता देना चाहता हूं महोदय, कहना चाहेंगे बड़े विद्वत लोग हैं, अनुभवी भी हैं और अनुभव की किताब लेके बैठे हैं महोदय। ये अनुभव की किताब रखने वाले लोग से हम कहना चाहेंगे कि विचार ऐसा रखें जिस विचार पर लोग विचार करें।
First, Bihar is one of the first state in the country which has not only conducted the caste-based survey and the socio-economic survey, but they have also dared to table the report, because there were a lot of ifs and buts whether this survey report will be tabled or not. Of course, the survey report is on the economic front. It is really very starking. It is very, Bihar presents a very dismal picture, and it is a very comprehensive report. So obviously somewhere, Bihar government will claim that, based on this economic survey report, socio-economic data report, they deserve to be given the special status demand. Otherwise, they will really take, several decades to catch up with the national average. Of course, at the same time, during the, discussion, the Parliamentary Affairs Minister of Bihar, Mr. Vijay Chaudhary, claimed that on the other front, like on the literacy front, there is lot of improvement. That is thanks to the initiative taken by Nitish Kumar government to, empower the girl child. And that is why on the literacy front, there are more literates among the women than the, male segment. But besides that, in the days to come, you will see that based on this survey report, Bihar government is going to increase the, present quota for the extremely backward caste as well as for the OBC, because they have not only conducted the survey. In the survey, the OBC and the EBC constitute the almost 63%, but in the during the in the socio-economic data, most of these EBC, more than 30% people are still below the poverty line.
Time for us to slip into a short break. News and updates will continue on the other side. Stay tuned.
conversation with Kailash Vijayvargiya. Kailash ji, क्या माहौल है?
आप देख लीजिए माहौल क्या है, लोग बहुत प्यार करते हैं.
The BJP is going all out in these elections in Madhya Pradesh. 3 union ministers, 4 MPs and a party general secretary have all been fielded as candidates.
The face of CM doesn't matter that much now. Even the opposition side, the fractions they are divided into gives a very vague idea what they are going to do with our state.
ना हमारा गरीबी रेखा का भी कूपन आया तो नहीं दिया.
सरकार तो जब तक के अभी इनको वोटिंग चाहिए, हम लोगों से, जनताओं से उनको वोट की जरूरत है, जब तक पूछ करेंगे.
परिवर्तन से क्या होगा?
परिवर्तन से क्या होगा? कुछ नहीं, कुछ तो अच्छा होगा.
जो जीता वो सिकंदर. बाबा महाकाल की कृपा देखो अब किस पे होती है.
In the India Today Best Universities 2023 survey, released recently, India's #1 ranked universities in various streams are JNU Delhi, Amity University, AIMS Delhi, IIT Delhi, and National Law School Bengaluru.
This Diwali, New Hawkins, good old friends, fun times again.
घर पे जाके तुम गूगल कर लो, मेरे बारे में विकिपीडिया पे पढ़ लो. यू नो, दिस इज समथिंग दैट वी डू ऑन अ डेली बेसिस. मतलब हम सभी गूगल यूज करते हैं, हम सभी विकिपीडिया पे यूज करते हैं, बट डिड यू नो कि गूगल एक्चुअल में गूगल नहीं होना चाहिए था, वो होता गूगल. वहां से एक स्पेलिंग मिस्टेक की वजह से गूगल बन गया. अब हुआ ये, जब स्टार्ट हुआ पूरा गूगल का आइडिया, आई टोल्ड यू पहले के एपिसोड में दैट द फर्स्ट नेम वाज बैकरब. अब बैकरब से नाम जब चेंज करना था तो द फाउंडर्स ऑफ गूगल, लैरी पेज एंड सर्गे ब्रिन, दे वर लुकिंग फॉर अ न्यू टर्म, और उनको एक टर्म मिलती है गूगल. गूगल का मतलब क्या होता है इन मैथमेटिक्स? इट्स नंबर 1 फॉलोड बाय 100 zeros. तो आइडिया ये था कि अब इतनी सारी इंफॉर्मेशन को हम एक साथ दिखाने वाले हैं, इट क्लियरली सिग्निफाइज द वास्ट अमाउंट ऑफ इंफॉर्मेशन ऑनलाइन. तो वहां से दिमाग में वर्ड आ गया गूगल. लेकिन जब डोमेन खरीदने गए तो उस टाइम पे गलती से GOOGOL की जगह GLE टाइप हो गया, और वहां से बना गूगल, जो आज हम सभी डेली बेसिस पे यूज करते हैं. बट डिड यू नो it was a spelling mistake that ended us with Google.
A debate has many facets. Perhaps no one right answer. Left, right, and center. Conversations that get to the core of the debate.
And there's too much talking but very little being said. Too many voices but hardly any being heard. You turn to a show that puts you front and center. A show that headlines the stories of the people, by the people, for the people. From breaking news to in-depth analysis. Covering the latest developments across politics,
business and technology.
Bringing you stories that shape our nation and the world.
Just days after Sharmila in fact vouched for unconditional support to Congress and withdrew from the Telangana Assembly elections. Her party leaders are not contesting these elections, but this in fact has led to sort of a mini rebellion that we can see, with several leaders from YSRTP in fact resigning. For more on this, I'm joined by my colleague Uma Sudhir. Uma, so what are the details that we have as of now? And clearly her party leaders are not happy with her.
So the public meeting being addressed by Prime Minister Narendra Modi here at LB Stadium, coming days after Mr. Amit Shah made the announcement that if Telangana votes the BJP to power, they can hope to see a person from the backward caste community as the Chief Minister of Telangana. That of course has created a momentum in Telangana for the BJP, which otherwise was seen as a distant third, but they are hoping that with the push that they are giving to the backward caste community in terms of even opportunity to more number of people from the backward caste community to contest, the BJP certainly hoping to make more inroads. what is also going to be significant at this public meeting, which is being called as the Backward Caste Atmagaurava Sammelan, which is a self-respect meeting for the backward caste here in Telangana. What they are also going to be having here is some kind of a declaration that will show the...
Right. My apologies. We will get the right report from Uma Sudhir up there on the YSRTP chief, Sharmila, in fact, facing a sort of a rebellion because several leaders from her party have in fact resigned en masse after she decided to withdraw from the Telangana Assembly elections. Moving on now, a day after Union Minister Rajiv Chandrasekhar in fact called deepfake videos the latest and more dangerous and damaging form of misinformation. This after a deepfake video of actor Rashmika Mandanna in fact surfaced. Now the IT Ministry has sent an advisory to social media companies talking about the existing intermediary rules that state penalties and punishment for impersonation. So the government there, in fact, showing the rule book to the social media giants there. For more on this, let me go across to my colleague Vasudha. Vasudha, this is, of course, an important issue. It not just affects celebrities, this could also be affecting the ordinary people. So this is a sort of a reminder of existing rules that the government is sending out to the social media giants. But the challenge, of course, lies in implementation and monitoring, right?
Absolutely. There are limitations to regulation, especially when it comes to AI manipulated digital media. So what the government has done is reinstating that there are existing rules. Now, if you remember, IT Act already states that impersonation is a crime and you could be penalized with a 3-year imprisonment and also a penalty of ₹1 lakh. And there are also intermediary rules which state that social media platforms will have to take down any content which basically is misleading, impersonating anybody within 36 hours of receiving the complaint. So today the IT Ministry, Tondamarka, has sent out an advisory to all social media platforms, reinstating, reminding them that these rules exist and there are legal obligations that they are obligated to fulfill. And that is what has happened today. This has happened just 2 days after, just 1 day after MOS IT Rajiv Chandrasekhar also tweeted that legal obligations exist for the social media platforms to follow. And this happened after Rashmika Mandanna's alleged video, went viral, and it was not her video. Her face was morphed in somebody else's body, and that is very concerning. Even superstars like Amitabh Bachchan have responded to this, saying that this calls for legal action, and many important people, influential people have also spoken about it. But clearly, like you said, regulation also has its limits, but the government clearly is thinking on the lines of safety, and like Rajiv Chandrasekhar tweeted, there seems to be a lot of thought on this because clearly the government is responsible for the online safety of its citizens.
That's right, Vasudha. We'll, of course, have to wait and see whether there's any further exchange on this matter. But thank you so much for joining us with that update. We'll slip into a short break now. News and updates on the other side will continue.
जब मां सरयू के घाटों को
अक्सर ऐसा होता है कि आपके फोन के स्क्रीन पे बहुत सारी इंफॉर्मेशन है. मे बी यू आर ऑन अ वेब पेज, या मे बी यू आर रीडिंग अ बुक लेट्स से, या अगर कुछ भी बहुत ज़्यादा टेक्स्ट है, कई बार बहुत सारे ऑप्शंस आ जाते हैं. समटाइम्स इट्स दिस लेजी फीलिंग, या समटाइम्स इट्स मोर कन्वीनियंट कि अगर कोई आपको वो सब चीज़ें पढ़ के सुना दे. लेट मी गिव यू अ टेक टिप. आपके फ़ोन में एक इनबिल्ट ऑप्शन होता है टेक्स्ट टू स्पीच का. Either you are using Android or iOS, फर्क नहीं पड़ता, दोनों केसेस में आपको ये ऑप्शन मिल जाएगा. You just need to dig deep into the accessibility settings, और वहाँ से you can even customize the output speech options कि आपको किस स्पीड में वो स्पीच चाहिए, या फिर किस टाइप की आपको वॉइस चाहिए, और आप बड़े आराम से जो भी आपके स्क्रीन पे है वो सुन सकते हैं.
Text to speech is a feature that reads digital text aloud. Words on a computer or other digital device can be converted into audio using this.
कभी-कभी ये आलस के मारे आप करेंगे, कभी-कभी करेंगे आप कन्वीनियंस के मामले में, बट इट्स अ नाइस टिप टू फॉलो कि आप आपके स्क्रीन पे जो भी है वो सुन भी सकते हैं, बिकॉज व्हाट यू आर यूजिंग इज नॉट अ डम फोन, इट्स अ स्मार्टफोन, सो मेक यूज ऑफ इट.
This show isn't just about news from the southern states. It's one that looks at the rest of India and the world from a diverse South India point of view, because NDTV has always taken the southern view seriously.
The Southern View with Veera Raghav, only on NDTV 24/7.
NDTV for news you can trust. No sensationalism, no ugly debate, no agenda. We strive to be transparent and unbiased in our reporting so you can get news that you can rely on.
That was fast, right? But tech is evolving even quicker than our abilities to adapt. And that's how I like to roll. Technology तो आप सभी के पास है, but what you need is everything else. मेरा नाम है गौरव और अब मैं आ गया हूँ NDTV नेटवर्क पे, हर रोज, हर हफ्ते, अब आपके और पास.
When it comes to a horse deployed on crowd control duties at the Eden Garden Cricket Stadium precincts on Sunday died of a heart attack. Police sources say several horses were injured as firecrackers suddenly went off at a lower height than usual. Police are investigating if proper clearance and permissions were taken before setting off the fireworks. And as the fireworks went off and horses ran helter-skelter, and the Voice of Regions, which had joined the country's oldest mounted police force in February this year, died of a heart attack within hours of this incident. Saurabh Gupta reports.
As India was celebrating a victory at the Eden Gardens, the iconic Eden Gardens Cricket Stadium, the Kolkata Mounted Police, the oldest mounted police force in the country, had to deal with a tragedy. Now, Voice of Regency, a horse deployed for crowd control and marshalling duty during match days, died of a heart attack. What's the cause of the heart attack? Well, sources in the Kolkata police say that sudden fireworks at a low level led to the horses being disturbed, and after that what happened was that the horses ran helter-skelter for a while and sustained injuries. Now, it was not just Voice of Regency that sustained injuries, but other horses of the Kolkata Mounted Police as well that also suffered injuries, and as a result of that, Voice of Regency died of a heart attack. Now, the police are investigating if proper permissions were taken for those fireworks to be set off in the vicinity of Eden Gardens. There is a demarcated place, but permissions have to be sought and clearances have to be taken before fireworks can be set off. Now, as you can see in the background, this is the Eden Gardens. There was a crowd coming out of the stadium. The fireworks went off. The horses were disturbed, and Voice of Regency, a horse of the oldest mounted police force in the country, the Kolkata Mounted Police, died because of a heart attack, and now his death is being investigated by the Kolkata police, and the mounted police are on duty in the vicinity of Eden Gardens where this incident took place. And this, of course, are visuals from the area where this incident took place. With camera person Aniruddha Tripathi in Kolkata, Saurabh Gupta, NDTV.
Now, from the world of generative and conversational artificial intelligence, the company that made this term popular and the technology much in demand, OpenAI, held their first Developer Day conference in San Francisco and made a whole bunch of announcements. This included a newer, more powerful version called GPT-4 Turbo. Take a look at this report.
The app that updated how the entire world functions just got updated. OpenAI ने अपने large language models के updates को reveal किया अपने developer conference में. And what is getting everyone excited is ChatGPT-4 Turbo. GPT-4 Turbo की trained knowledge base April 2023 तक updated है, and क्योंकि GPT-4 का contextual window processing power अब पहले से बहुत ज़्यादा है, GPT-4 Turbo becomes much more capable because it supports a 128,000 context window. ये roughly translate होता है into 300 pages of text में. So imagine, you can feed an entire book as a prompt to GPT-4 Turbo and ये आपको contextual answers दे पाएगा. And according to OpenAI themselves, because they've optimized performance, GPT-4 Turbo offer करता है 3x the pricing reduction for input tokens. And because of the multiple other APIs that can plug in into the environment, GPT-4 Turbo with Vision, as an example, can accept images as inputs अपने chat completions API में. इसके अलावा दूसरे अपडेट्स भी हैं GPT-4 Turbo में, जैसे फंक्शन कॉलिंग, मच इंप्रूव्ड इंस्ट्रक्शन फॉलोइंग, अ डेडिकेटेड JSON मोड, रिप्रोड्यूसिबल आउटपुट्स एंड मच मोर. OpenAI ने एक असिस्टेंट API भी रिलीज किया है. इस नए असिस्टेंट API में नई कैपेबिलिटीज हैं, जैसे कि कोड इंटरप्रेटर, contextual retrieval methods and function calling. इस API के यूसेज से आप चैट GPT के कस्टम वेरिएंट्स डिजाइन कर सकते हैं, जिनको कंपनी GPTs बोलकर प्रमोट कर रही है. As always, OpenAI ने प्रॉमिस किया है कि आपके इनपुट्स प्राइवेट एंड सिक्योर रहेंगे and that the models are not trained on the data users enter.
We'll slip into a short break at this point. Don't go anywhere.
बढ़ते पोल्यूशन और बदलते मौसम के साथ सर्दी, खांसी, जुकाम एक आम बात है. ऐसे में लीजिए मुल्तानी कुका कफ सिरप, ताकि बदलते मौसम के साथ आप न बदले.
Election in 5 states. 679 seats, over 16 crore voters. A crucial semi-final before 2024. NDTV brings you the politics, the promises, the stories and backstories, every twist and turn of 5 high-stake battles. When it comes to elections, India trusts NDTV.
फ्रेंड्स, इन दिस सेगमेंट मैं आपके साथ में कुछ इंपॉर्टेंट इंफॉर्मेशन शेयर करने वाला हूं अबाउट योर गैजेट्स. यू नो, योर डिवाइस माइट बी एक्सपोज टू सम क्रिटिकल वल्नरेबिलिटीज, जिसके बाद में आपका डेटा, आपका इंपॉर्टेंट जो इंफॉर्मेशन आपने स्टोर करके रखा है उस फोन में, वो सब गलत हाथों में जा सकता है. अभी ऐसा ही कुछ हुआ व्हेन द कंप्यूटर इमरजेंसी रिस्पॉन्स टीम फॉर इंडिया एक एडवाइजरी इशू करती है एंड वो बताती है कि मल्टीपल वर्जन्स ऑफ एंड्रॉयड, टॉकिंग अबाउट एंड्रॉयड 11, एंड्रॉयड 12, एंड्रॉयड 12L एंड साथ में एंड्रॉयड 13 भी, ये कुछ क्रिटिकल इश्यूज को पोज कर रहे हैं. देयर आर सम मेजर सिक्योरिटी फ्लॉज, और इसका सॉल्यूशन सिर्फ एक है कि गूगल एक अपडेट इशू करेगा और जितने भी मैन्युफैक्चरर्स हैं वो बाद में उस अपडेट को अपने अपने डिवाइसेस में पुश करेंगे एंड आपके पास जब वो अपडेट आए तो आपको उसे इंस्टॉल करना है. और आप कभी नहीं चाहोगे कि आपके फ़ोन का जो डेटा है या आपकी जो इन्फॉर्मेशन है, जो आपने फ़ोन में अपनी पर्सनल इन्फॉर्मेशन स्टोर करी है, वो कहीं गलत हाथों में चला जाए, कोई आपके फ़ोन को रिमोटली कंट्रोल कर ले, कोई एक मलिशियस ऐप आपके फ़ोन में आ जाए. तो इन सभी चीज़ों को अवॉइड करने के लिए द फर्स्ट स्टेप that you can do and you have to do is to update your devices. So make sure आज के बाद keep it like a regular habit. Once in a while, sometimes तो आपको notification खुद से मिल जाएगा, but if it doesn't come, once in a while, every 15-20 days, normally just check for updates for all your devices. For example, if you have a camera, अब आपने एक बार एक कैमरा खरीदा है जो 2 साल आपको हो चुके हैं उसको खरीदे हुए, और आप 2 साल इस कैमरा को यूज कर रहे हैं and you're just using it like normal. You never know, क्या पता उसके लिए एक नया फर्मवेयर अवेलेबल हो जहां पे उस कैमरा की परफॉर्मेंस थोड़ी सी अच्छी हो गई है, आप उसके.
Welcome back. Now, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is in Hyderabad today for a public meeting at Lal Bahadur Stadium, where he will address the BC Atma Gaurav Sabha as a self-respect meeting for backward classes. The BJP will unveil its declaration, on which the Prime Minister is expected to elaborate.
So the public meeting being addressed by Prime Minister Narendra Modi here at LB Stadium, coming days after Mr. Amit Shah made the announcement that if Telangana votes the BJP to power, they can hope to see a person from the backward caste community as the Chief Minister of Telangana. That of course has created a momentum in Telangana for the BJP, which otherwise was seen as a distant third, but they are hoping that with the push that they are giving to the backward caste community in terms of even opportunity to more number of people from the backward caste community to contest, the BJP certainly hoping to make more inroads. what is also going to be significant at this public meeting, which is being called as the Backward Caste Atmagaurava Sammelan, which is a self-respect meeting for the backward caste here in Telangana. What they are also going to be having here is some kind of a declaration that will show the priorities that the BJP is going to be showing to the backward caste, who constitute more than 52% of the population here in Telangana. Also present will be Mr. Pawan Kalyan, Janasena leader, who is of course part of the NDA, but after 9 years, flashback to 9 years, April 2014 is when he appeared in this very stadium along with Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Of course, at that time, Chandrababu Naidu was also there on the podium with them, but now it is the Janasena and the BJP which are coming together. They have been allotted 8 seats in Telangana to contest here in Telangana, and the BJP is hoping that Mr. Pawan Kalyan will not just bring his star value to the table here, his appeal among the youth across the Telugu states, but also he does belong to the Munnuru Kapu caste, which I must point out that in 2009, when Mr. Chiranjeevi made an electoral debut with his Praja Rajyam party, they were able to get 18% of the vote share in undivided Andhra Pradesh. That impressive by any standards, and the BJP would hope that that kind of a momentum can add up some numbers for the BJP here at a time when they are also giving the backward caste community the push, electoral push by saying that we will prioritize this community which has not got its political due here in Telangana. The third important factor, of course, with the Janasena coming together with the BJP is the Andhra vote, the vote of the settlers, which Pawan Kalyan hopes to be able to draw towards himself. Already the Telugu Desam not contesting in these elections. First time in 40 years, the bicycle will not be.
Right, breaking update coming in, and the YouTuber Elvish Yadav, who has in fact been embroiled in a case related to snake poison at a rave party in Noida, has in fact been sent a notice by the Noida police, and our sources give us to believe that he will be called for questioning very soon. Let me go across to my colleague Mukesh Sengar, who's been following and tracking this case. Mukesh, what are the details? अभी तक के लिए जानकारी क्या है?
देखिए, नोएडा पुलिस ने एल्विस यादव को पूछताछ के लिए नोटिस भेजा है, क्योंकि इस केस में जो राहुल नाम का एक्यूज अरेस्ट हुआ था, उसने पूछताछ में बताया था कि जो एल्विस यादव हैं वो भी रेव पार्टी करते थे, और उसमें वो स्नेक मंगाते थे, और साथ में जो स्नेक का वेनम होता है, जहर होता है, वो भी पार्टियों में आता था। तो नोएडा पुलिस ने एल्विस यादव को नोटिस भेज दिया है और बहुत जल्दी उनसे पूछताछ होगी। जो एक्यूज्ड राहुल है उसको पुलिस ने रिमांड पर लिया है, उसकी पूछताछ की जा रही है, और राहुल को एल्विस यादव के सामने बिठाकर भी पूछताछ होगी। इसके अलावा जो नोएडा पुलिस है, जहां जहां पर ये रेप पार्टीज हुई हैं वहां के सीसीटीवी कैमरों की फुटेज जो है वो देख रही है, और कुछ जगहों पर नोएडा पुलिस गई थी, वहां पर पार्टियों के सबूत मिले, यानी कि वहां पर रेप पार्टियां हुई हैं। तो एल्विस यादव का जो नाम है वो राहुल से पूछताछ के बाद, और उसका जो ऑडियो रिकॉर्डिंग हुआ था, जो इसका स्टिंग हुआ था, उसमें आया था। जो सांप का जहर है, जो स्नेक वेनम है, उसको जांच के लिए भेजा गया था, उसकी रिपोर्ट भी नोएडा पुलिस को मिल गई है। हालांकि रिपोर्ट में क्या कुछ है अभी ये साफ नहीं है, लेकिन उसकी जो रिपोर्ट है वो भी नोएडा पुलिस को मिल गई है। तो एल्विस यादव से नोएडा पुलिस इस पूरे मामले पर बहुत जल्दी ही पूछताछ करने वाली है कि आखिर उनका इस पूरे मामले में क्या रोल है।
जी मुकेश, और एक बात बताइए, जैसे आप कह रहे हैं कि यहाँ पे एक जो बहुत ही अहम भूमिका है वो राहुल की है, जो यहाँ पे आरोपी है उसको गिरफ्तार कर लिया गया है, और उसी के स्टेटमेंट के हिसाब से अभी नोएडा पुलिस शायद एल्विश से पूछताछ करेगी जल्द ही। तो अगर हमारे व्यूअर्स के लिए आप थोड़ा बताएं कि ये राहुल कौन है जो अभी तक अक्यूज्ड अरेस्टेड है, और उसका रोल क्या था, और उसने क्या क्या अभी तक बताया पुलिस को?
देखिए, बेसिकली जो मेनका गांधी का एक एनजीओ है पीएफए की टीम ने एल्विस यादव के कुछ वीडियोस देखे थे जिसमें वो सांपों को अपने साथ लिए हुए नजर आ रहे हैं। इसके बाद उनकी टीम ने अपना नाम बदलकर एल्विस यादव से संपर्क किया और उनसे पूछा कि आखिर ये सांप उन्हें कहाँ से मिलते हैं। तो एल्विस यादव ने राहुल का नंबर दिया, फिर राहुल को उस टीम ने फोन किया, और राहुल से भी उन्होंने नाम बदलकर बात की। उन्होंने ये कहा कि उन्हें एक पार्टी करनी है, रेप पार्टी करनी है, और उसके लिए सांप चाहिए। इसके बाद राहुल 4 सपेरों को अपने साथ में लेकर नोएडा के सेक्टर 51 के एक बैंक्वेट हॉल में पहुंच गया, और वहीं पर जो नोएडा पुलिस है और जो नोएडा फॉरेस्ट डिपार्टमेंट की टीम है उसने रेड की, और रेड के बाद राहुल समेत 5 सपेरे अरेस्ट किए गए और वहां से 9 सांप मिले, जिनमें 5 कोबरा थे। इसके अलावा 20 ml स्नेक वेनम बरामद हुआ और पूछताछ में आरोपियों ने कहा कि वो एल्विस यादव के लिए काम करते हैं। एल्विस यादव बहुत सारी रेप पार्टियों में एल्विस यादव ने उन्हें बुलाया है और एल्विस यादव जो है स्नेक बाइट सप्लाई करता है। तो राहुल एक बीच की कड़ी है जो कि एल्विस यादव के संपर्क में था और एल्विस यादव को जब भी सांपों की जरूरत होती थी तब राहुल के जरिए ही वो सांप जाते थे। तो ये सब दावा राहुल ने किया है। तो निश्चित तौर पर जो नोएडा पुलिस है वो बहुत सारे एविडेंस देख रही है इस केस में, और अब अगला जो नंबर है वो एल्विस यादव का है, जो कि बिग बॉस विनर रहे हैं, यूट्यूबर है और उनका काफी बड़ा नाम है। तो उनको नोएडा पुलिस अब बुलाने वाली है और उनसे पूछताछ करेगी कि आखिर उनका इस पूरे मामले में क्या रोल है।
Thank you so much for joining us. So a big update coming in the Elvish Yadav case, where the YouTuber is likely now to be called for questioning very soon by the Noida police. They have officially sent him a notice for the first time in this case, where the popular YouTuber is being alleged to have supplied snake poison at a rave party in Noida. Shifting focus now back on to one of our top stories, and this is of course the first day of the Battle of the States that we can see taking place, and the first 2 states going to polls of course was Mizoram and Chhattisgarh. Now, as we know, officially the elections in Mizoram have concluded. The polling was officially till 4 p.m, but there are certain booths in which people who were still standing in queue, they have been allowed to wait over there, and the timing is in fact being a little extended a little bit for them to go inside the polling booths and cast their vote. But meanwhile, in Chhattisgarh, what my colleague Sunil Prabhu there was reporting a short while back is that the turnout in the Maoist hotbed of Bastar has in fact been considerably better than what we've seen back in 2018. Nearly 60% of voter turnout was registered till 3 p.m.
I'm joined by Dr. Raman Singh, who's contesting here from Rajasthan, who's just finished praying. So what were your wishes and prayers today?
आज हमने भगवान से काली माँ के दरबार में आया, शीश झुकाया और काली माँ से प्रार्थना किया कि छत्तीसगढ़ में पूर्ण बहुमत की भारतीय जनता पार्टी की सरकार बने और भारतीय जनता पार्टी आने वाले समय में सुशासन देगा और शांति और समृद्धि विकास की दिशा में आगे बढ़ेंगे।
सर, आपने पूरा कैंपेन किया पूरा छत्तीसगढ़ में और भी करेगा, आपका क्या मुद्दा है इस बार से?
मुद्दा विकास का मुद्दा है, भूपेश बघेल का करप्शन का मुद्दा है, विकास को रोकने का मुद्दा है।
और इस बार are you sure that you will be able to get a better majority in Rajasthan?
100% राजनांदगांव ही नहीं पूरे छत्तीसगढ़ में पूर्ण बहुमत के साथ सरकार बनेगी।
और आप लीड करेगा छत्तीसगढ़?
इस बार सर्वाधिक वोटों से राजनांदगांव में पिछले 3 चुनाव से ज्यादा वोट से जीतेंगे।
और एक आप मुख्यमंत्री बनेगा सर इस बार?
अब ये तय विधायक दल होगा।
क्या सर?
And Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar is currently speaking. Let's listen in.
समझ लीजिए कि हम चले गए सर थे मधु लिमय जी से, और उनको हम कहे, और उन्हीं के साथ बैठे हुए थे उस समय जो तत्कालीन वित्त मंत्री थे मधु दंडवते जी, सब बैठे हुए थे। हमने बताया कि उन्होंने हमको कहा, तो उन्होंने सुनने के बाद कहा कि नहीं ठीक है, जो तुम अब करो इसके बारे में तुम आगे बढ़वाओ, बात करो। और तब उस समय के माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी से भी हम मिले, विश्वनाथ प्रताप सिंह जी से, और उनको भी हमने अनुरोध किया कि जाति आधारित जनगणना होना चाहिए। अब बाद में हम उनको तो कह दिए, बाद में वो कहे कि अरे भाई शुरू हो गया है इसलिए इस बार पॉसिबल नहीं है, तो नहीं हुआ। लेकिन आप जान लीजिए कि उसी समय से जाति आधारित जनगणना की बात, एक बात अच्छी तरह जान लीजिए, 1990 में, 1990 कह रहे हैं, 1930 में जब ये सब शुरू हुआ था तो अंग्रेज ही राज कर रहा था उस समय, तो यहाँ का शुरू हुआ था। तब पहला बार जो हुआ था तो जाति आधारित जनगणना हुआ था, और कुछ दिन के बाद हुआ था। अब बाद में फिर जाति आधारित बंद हो गया, और उसके बाद ये फिर हुआ कि नहीं जाति आधारित जनगणना हो जाए तो जो बड़ा अच्छा रहेगा। तो इसीलिए हम लोग शुरू से मांग करते रहे, और उसी के आधार पर आपको याद है ना, यहीं पर पास हुआ जब आप ही थे ना स्पीकर साहब वहां बैठे हुए थे, तो 19 में भी हम लोगों ने कहा कि भाई आप इसके बारे में कर दीजिए, और सर्वसम्मति से हाउस से पारित हुआ, तो हम लोगों ने सेंटर को भेजा। दोनों हाउस में, विधानसभा विधान परिषद दोनों में, और दूसरी बार फिर 20 में भी, तो दोनों हाउस से पारित होकर के भेजा गया। लेकिन अभी जनवरी की बात है, 20 की, जनवरी फरवरी की, तो उसी समय बजट के टाइम तो हम लोग तो शुरू से नहीं तैयार थे जी। अब बाद में फिर याद करिए कि हम लोगों ने तो 20 में तो आ गया कोरोना, तो शुरू नहीं हुआ, तो 21 में फिर हम लोग कहने लगे कि भाई जाति आधारित तो होबे न करेगा, ये माने जनगणना तो होगा ही ना, जाति आधारित की बात तो नहीं, जनगणना होगा। तो हम लोग रिक्वेस्ट करें तो याद करिए ना कि हम लोग फिर 9 पार्टी के लोग बात किए आपस में 21 में, और आपस में बातचीत करके हुआ कि नहीं ठीक है। तब फिर हम लोगों ने केंद्र में माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी से अनुरोध किया कि समय दीजिए, तो उन्होंने 3-4 महीना के बाद समय दिया। हम लोग मिले, हम मिल करके सब लोग न गए थे जी, आज सब तो साथ ही थे, तब भुला गए। आप लोगों में से किसी को मौका नहीं मिला। अरे मौका किसको मिला? जो दूसरा पटिया से ज्वाइन कर लिया था उसी को दे दिया। हमने कहा है का बेचारे को उतना मालूम है, कहना बोले, उसको भी हम इज्जत करते हैं, लेकिन वो भी बोला कि नहीं होना चाहिए। और सब लोग बोले, ये लोग सब थे, विपक्ष में थे, लोग तो इधर थे, आप ही इधर थे, और उस समय जाके उनको हम लोगों ने अनुरोध किया, और अंत में बाद में वो कहे कि नहीं साहब जो होगा नहीं अभी। एक बात ऐसे ही जनरली कह दिया गया कि भाई अपना राज्य में करना है, तो उस समय की बात है, भूलिएगा मत। अभी तो जाता है कोर्ट में, कौन जाता है? खोजना ना चाहिए कि ये जाता है कोर्टवा में। याद करिए ना भाई, उसी समय बात हुआ, तब हम लोगों ने फिर मीटिंग किया 9 पार्टी का कि हम लोग करेंगे, तो सबकी सहमति हुई। और जनगणना, जाति आधारित जनगणना तो केंद्र का था, तो हम लोगों ने कहा कि जनगणना का तो पावर उनको है, तो हम लोग जाति आधारित गणना करेंगे, जनगणना नहीं। उसमें भी सब कह रहा था, तो कह रहे जनगणना तो करेगा केंद्र, हम लोग तो गणना की बात किए। तो एक एक बात कह करके हम लोगों ने सफाई दी थी, और उसी आधार पर सबके राय से आज जो काम शुरू कर दिया क्या बोलिए। और उसी आधार पर जो हुआ, फिर अलग अलग भी हो गए, अलग बात है, लेकिन सबकी सहमति से हुई है। और उसके लिए बड़े पैमाने पर लोगों को लगाया गया, उस सबकी ट्रेनिंग हुई, और उसके आधार पर उन लोगों ने काम करना शुरू किया है, और उसी के आधार पर हुआ। और वो जब चल रहा था तो बीच में कोई कोर्ट में कर दिया, तो जनवरी याद करिए, इसी साल के जनवरी में सबसे पहले उन लोगों ने कहा कि जितने लोगों का बिल्डिंग है, घर है, उस सब के घर पर जाकर के एक एक जगह देख करके और सब में लिख करके दिया, बात किया कि आप लोग कौन कौन हैं, और वहां पर एक एक चीज लिख किया। और उसके बाद फिर और भी पूरा जब एक जगह से निकला, तो और भी पूरा अपना मीटिंग करके उन लोगों ने आपस में विचार करके और इसका काम 4 महीने के बाद शुरू किया। और कहा कि थोड़ा समय दे दीजिए, और समय दे दिया गया, और उसको उन लोगों ने काम करना शुरू कर दिया। और जब काम शुरू हो रहा था, काफी तेजी से काम हो रहा था, तब तक वो कोर्ट में चला गया। तो
A cup of hope,
a cup of joy.
can India lift it at home after 12 years?
We will follow their journey through the length and breadth of the country
Through every twists and turns.
on Turning Point on NDTV 24/7.
Okay, so we're coming towards the end, और ये है मेरा फेवरेट सेक्शन, guys, you know about it. It's Ask TG, जहाँ पे आपके सवाल होते हैं, मैं जवाब देता हूँ। तो let's see इस हफ्ते हमारे पास में क्या क्या सवाल आए हैं, because I am ready with all my answers.
Hi TG, which mobile brands should we buy to support PM Modi's Make in India initiative?
Okay, I'll tell you something very honestly. Any phone in the market, when you see the label that it is made in India or assembled in India or something like that, go ahead, get it. That's my honest answer. आज अगर कोई फ़ोन बनता है इंडिया में, तो हम देखते हैं कि कुछ कंपोनेंट्स इंडिया से आते हैं, कुछ कंपोनेंट्स इंडिया के बाहर से भी आते हैं और हम विद टाइम ये कोशिश कर रहे हैं कि ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा मेजॉरिटी ऑफ द कंपोनेंट्स इंडिया से आने शुरू हो जाएं, बट दिस नंबर इज़ वेरी डिफिकल्ट टू गो टू 100% बिकॉज ये बहुत ज़्यादा मुश्किल एक प्रोडक्ट है जहाँ पे बहुत सारे कंपोनेंट्स काम में आते हैं। Sometimes the protocol might not be supported. Sometimes this USB port is not sufficient to give you a display output. तो आप उस केस में Chromecast को यूज़ कर सकते हैं to cast your screen. I would say that would be an easier option. And if you can give more details about the exact model of tab that you're using या फिर आप किस तरीके से रन करना चाह रहे हैं, I might give you some more self information. But as of now, I would say not all devices have the ports designed the same way. Sometimes the functionality is limited. तो आप ज़रूरी नहीं है कि उस displays का output ले पाएँ बाहर. You can use a wireless solution that way.
Hi, Technical Guruji. Is there any way at all to track my kids' smartphone usage?
Yes, very easy and it's very important as well. आपको ये काम करना चाहिए. Any phone, iPhone हो या Android phone हो, सभी में आपको screen time का option मिल जाता है. अलग-अलग नाम से आपको मिलेगा. But yes, your phone has that option. You can not just track it, you can even put a limit to it. अगर आप चाहते हैं कि your kid should not be watching YouTube for more than 30 minutes a day, आप वहाँ पे एक limit लगा सकते हैं. Same goes for all the apps, the phone in general, and in fact, at the weekend, let's say, या हर दिन शाम को, you can have a look कि उस दिन में फ़ोन में कितना यूजेज हुआ है और कौन सी ऐप को कितनी देर के लिए यूज़ किया गया है. It's very easy and you should do it.
Hi Technical Guruji, I have been thinking of adding Apple CarPlay to my car, but I haven't been able to decide if I should get an add-on CarPlay unit or completely replace my entertainment unit. Please suggest.
It depends on the kind of car you have. कितनी पुरानी वो कार है, जो existing unit है, उसके क्या functions हैं, किस तरीके से पूरा setup है. I would say दोनों ही solutions अच्छे हो सकते हैं depending on your situation. जो अलग से add-on आते हैं, even those are very functional.
This is NDTV, and you're watching NDTV 24/7.
Hello, I'm Sneha Koshi, and the big breaking that we are bringing to you, there's a new set of quota proposals which have been put before the Bihar Assembly by the Bihar Chief Minister. Now, according to this new proposal, the Bihar quota has been increased, or the reservations have been increased to 65%. And all of this, remember, is coming on a day when the second set of data from the Bihar government's caste-based survey was put before the assembly. And according to that, almost 34% of all families in Bihar are surviving less than 6,000 per month. And there is so much more data. I'm being joined by my colleague Alok Pandey at this point. Alok Pandey, not mere coincidence, is it, that on a day when the second set of caste-based data or survey results are put before the assembly, you also have the quota increase being proposed by Chief Minister?
Well, yes, I think this was more or less a given after the report that the Bihar government tabled before the assembly. This is all flowing one after the other if you look at it. But I will certainly start by saying that this is a government that has, I want to use another word, maybe I'll say courage to actually, table data like this. The data does not paint Bihar in very positive light. Nevertheless, the government of the day has decided that they want to table this in the assembly, and they've gone ahead and done it. Now that they have done it, I think there was no alternative for the Chief Minister rather than to propose this hike in quotas. Because if you look at the data, you will find that, the backward classes and the scheduled castes and scheduled tribes are the ones that seem to be the most underdeveloped. This, of course, also then poses a question to the governance model of Bihar, because Mr. Kumar has been in power for close to 18 years now. And, it then does also lead you to the question as to what the government of the day has been doing, because they have always said that their focus is on Dalits, Mahadalits, the backwards, and yet you have this data coming through where just 5% of scheduled castes have completed school. 34% of all families in Bihar earn only 200 rupees a day, and data like that, But nevertheless, it is significant that the Chief Minister is asking for the quota increase from 50 to 65%. Whether that is legally tenable or not is a different question. But the biggest hike, it appears, has been reserved or has been proposed for the OBCs and EBCs. So that is what it is. We may have Manishi now, so perhaps we can go to him.
Absolutely, Alok. Thank you for that. I'm also being joined by Manish Kumar right now, who is joining us from right outside the Bihar Assembly. Manishji, a huge announcement, but many would say it doesn't come as a big surprise, does it?
Yes, of course, it was the entire announcement is on the expected lines, because after the caste survey data was released last month, if you remember, Sneha, that from that moment only, everybody could make out that based on the EWS quota for the upper caste, which is 10%, and their total population in Bihar is 15%. So if the 15% population is getting 10%, which constitutes to 66% distribution. So based on that, Nitish Kumar today increased the existing 30% quota, which was reserved for OBC and EBC. It was bifurcated, 18% for EBC and 12% for OBC. That has been increased to now 43%, because the existing 3% quota for the women from the OBC and the EBC community has been scrapped, and because they are already getting 35% reservation in the jobs. So now that 30% has been increased to 43%, and the existing 16% quota for scheduled caste based on their population, because their population is 19% plus, so that has been increased to 20%, and the scheduled tribe, which is over 1%, their quota has been increased to 2%. The formula was that SC/ST gets almost 100% of their population. Their quota is 100%, in proportion to their population. So that is now 22% and 43% for OBC and EBC. But it is not going to be. This is something Nitish Kumar has proposed, and now he has said that the ball is in the court of center, because center will have to somewhere change, or they have to put in the 9th schedule. But of course, they also know one thing for sure, that this quota rejig is likely to be challenged in the Supreme Court, because if you remember, Sneha, Karnataka government and Maharashtra government also revised the quota for the other caste, like in Maharashtra it was for the Marathas, but those increase in quota, which was they also breached that 15%, 50% ceiling. So those were struck down. But here, in comparison, unlike Maharashtra or Karnataka, since Bihar is confident, Nitish Kumar seems optimistic, because they have also conducted the socio-economic survey. Based on that, they said that they have a very good, case in the Supreme Court. Sneha.
Right. Thank you very much, Manish Kumar, for joining us with those details. A huge political announcement coming in, and it'll be very interesting to see how this pans out between the center as well as the states, of course, between the different political stakeholders within the state as well. Manish Kumar will keep bringing us all the latest. And let's just quickly get you updates from the states where elections or the voting was held today. In Chhattisgarh, there were some attacks from the Naxal regions that were reported. At least some security personnel were also injured in this particular incident. 20 of Chhattisgarh's 90 seats are voting today. 12 of them are located in the Maoist-hit Bastar region, and tight security arrangements have been made in Chhattisgarh. The fight is mainly between the BJP as well as Congress. But what's happening in Mizoram? It's the only poll-bound state where these two parties are not the primary contenders. The MNF and the Zoram People's Movement, the ZPM, have the strongholds in these two states. I'm being joined by my colleagues. We have Ratnadeep, who joins us from Mizoram. Ratnadeep, what is the situation there? Officially, the polling time is over, but as is the case, usually the people who are standing in queues would be allowed. Is that the situation there?
That's right. Officially the polls were over at 4 p.m. but there were people who had entered the polling station after 4 p.m. and they were allowed to vote. I am at a polling station in Mission Vang area of Aizawl, and here the polling process is over. Now the poll officials are actually, they're doing their paperwork and they're counting the voter slips. The EVMs have been sealed and they would be taken now to the strong room. In fact, in Mizoram, there have been no untoward incident in the polls. It has been a very peaceful polls, and it has in this polls the most striking feature has been how people very patiently waited for hours to cast their vote. In fact, till 4 p.m. what we are getting to hear from our sources in EC that at least 75% polling was done. So overall percentage is expected to cross the previous mark of 81%. And in fact, we have the last voter here, the person who cast the last vote in this polling booth. What's your name, sir?
My name is Vilal Chuana.
This time we saw people waiting for hours, and you were perhaps the last person who cast the vote.
Yes,
so tell us about the elections. We did see these elections in Mizoram are very different. We saw that there is no, people had come in queues. Nobody was there to trying to break queues. They were all silent, waiting for hours. You had the election watchdog MPF keeping a very close eye, and with very less security, with no untoward incident, election peacefully is done.
That's right. You see, it's our privilege for us as you witness that peacefulness today. You see, without even a single security force, that election can go smoothly, you see. That's why it is our privilege for us that you see the ground reality of this peacefulness in Mizoram, in comparison with that of the rest of India.
Well, there you are, the last voter clearly saying that whoever comes to power, they would like that the state remains as peaceful as it is now, where you have no incident in the run-up to the polls and no incident on the polling day as well, and a very well-disciplined electorate, and they have come out in large number to choose their next government.
Right. Ratnadeep, please stay on with us. We are also being joined by our colleague Sunil Prabhu at this point. Sunil, you are in Chhattisgarh right now, not an easy terrain when it comes to voting for that matter. It's a first phase. Parts of the state did end officially the voting at least by 4 o'clock. But what is the situation where you are?
Well, as I speak right now, voting still continues because these are the last voters and they can't be turned away. So they have closed the gates, but allowing, women as well as men who have come to cast their ballot to exercise their franchise and not lose their opportunity. There's some first-timers who are also participating in this entire process. But as you rightly pointed out, in 10 assembly constituencies, the voting was from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. and in the same way this coming till 5 p.m. So in the other 10 it was from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. And once these last voters cast their ballot, the ballot box will be sealed and then taken to the strong room. It's been an interesting election. It's a direct contest between the Congress and the BJP here in Chhattisgarh. This is just the first phase where 20 assembly constituencies have gone to the polls. We'll have to wait and see when the other 70 go to the polls on the 17th of November. That's 10 days from now. It's been a important battle. There have been various issues that have been raised. The politics of freebies, of MSP. These are issues that have played uppermost. On the other side, the BJP using corruption, the Mahadev app recently, as you saw, to raise and say that Congress is synonymous with corruption. And it's on that basis that both parties are evenly poised, and we'll wait to see the final results when it does take place.
Right. Thank you very much, Sunil Prabhu, for all of those details. Our reporters, Sunil Prabhu as well as Ratnadeep, very seasoned with how they have been covering elections year on year, will be giving us all the details and will continue to do so. It's time for a short break. On the other side, news and updates.
घर पे जाके तुम गूगल कर लो, मेरे बारे में विकिपीडिया पे पढ़ लो। दिस इज समथिंग दैट वी डू ऑन अ डेली बेसिस। मतलब हम सभी गूगल यूज करते हैं, हम सभी विकिपीडिया पे यूज करते हैं, बट डिड यू नो कि गूगल एक्चुअल में गूगल नहीं होना चाहिए था, वो होता गूगल। वहां से एक स्पेलिंग मिस्टेक की वजह से गूगल बन गया। अब हुआ ये जब स्टार्ट हुआ पूरा गूगल का आइडिया, आई टोल्ड यू पहले के एपिसोड में दैट द फर्स्ट नेम वाज बैकरब। अब बैकरब से नाम जब चेंज करना था तो द फाउंडर्स ऑफ गूगल, लैरी पेज एंड सर्गे ब्रिन, दे वर लुकिंग फॉर अ न्यू टर्म, और उनको एक टर्म मिलती है गूगल। गूगल का मतलब क्या होता है इन मैथमेटिक्स? इट्स नंबर 1 फॉलोड बाय 100 zeros। तो आइडिया ये था कि अब इतनी सारी इंफॉर्मेशन को हम एक साथ दिखाने वाले हैं, इट क्लियरली सिग्निफाइज द वास्ट अमाउंट ऑफ इंफॉर्मेशन ऑनलाइन। तो वहां से दिमाग में वर्ड आ गया गूगल। लेकिन जब डोमेन खरीदने गए तो उस टाइम पे गलती से GOOGOL की जगह GLE टाइप हो गया, और वहां से बना गूगल, जो आज हम सभी डेली बेसिस पे यूज करते हैं। बट डिड यू नो it was a spelling mistake that ended us with Google.
A debate has many facets, perhaps no one right answer. Left, right and center. Conversations that get to the core of the debate.
When there's too much talking but very little being said, too many voices but hardly any being heard, you turn to a show that puts you front and center. A show that headlines the stories of the people, by the people, for the people. From breaking news to in-depth analysis, covering the latest developments across politics, business and technology, bringing you stories that shape our nation and the world.
अक्सर ऐसा होता है कि आपके फोन के स्क्रीन पे बहुत सारी इंफॉर्मेशन है। मे बी यू आर ऑन अ वेब पेज, या मे बी यू आर रीडिंग अ बुक लेट्स से, या अगर कुछ भी बहुत ज्यादा टेक्स्ट है, कई बार बहुत सारे ऑप्शंस आ।
Hello and welcome to Let's Talk Business. Now, markets ended on a flat note amid volatility. Pharma and energy sectors rose, while realty and media sectors traded lower. Hiral Dadia with the wrap of all the market action.
A volatile session of trade is what we've seen today, where Nifty as well as Sensex ended absolutely flat. If you see in terms of Bank Nifty as well, that has clearly outperformed the benchmark indices in trade. And you had the pharma sector, which was the top gaining sector. Oil and gas also outperformed in today's session. In terms of broader markets, we saw gains of around 0.4% coming in there. So you had the mid-cap as well as the small-cap index, which ended in the positive. Real estate, which has been on an uptrend, actually saw profit booking in today's session. So that was an interesting one to watch out for. From the banking pack, you had HDFC Bank as well as ICICI Bank that were a drag today. In fact, it was the private banking space which was the top gaining sector yesterday, which did see some bit of profit booking that did come in today, and the PSU banking space was the top loser as well. Taking into consideration the other sectors, you had auto, which was down almost 0.2%, and the top losing sector in today's session. Moving on, if you see in terms of the top gainers and Nifty 50, it almost recovered 0.4% from the day's lowest levels, and you had Nifty, which overall ended below the 19,400 mark. Bank Nifty as well saw cuts of nearly 150 points. Sun Pharma, Dr. Reddy's, BPCL, ONGC as well as NTPC were the top gainers, whereas on the losing end, you had Bajaj Finance, Hero Motor, Power Grid, ICICI Bank as well as Adani Enterprises. On the back of an earnings reaction, stocks like Newland Laboratories, Trent, Arvind Fashion, Alchem Labs, Rolex Rings, Dhanuka Agri, RR Cables were in focus. In fact, HPCL rebounded in trade on the back of the second quarter profit that actually beat street estimates. Let's quickly look at the newsmakers. KPI Energy on the back of a LOA was up in trade. Cochin Shipyard has approved the stock split, so moves came in there. Alok Industries on the back of a fundraise was in focus. Royal Enfield has actually gone ahead and unveiled its first electric motorcycle concept, and ICICI Prudential was in focus. Volume buzzers, you had names like Greenply Industries, Nykaa, Devyani International, Bikaji Foods and Tata Elxsi saw some strong volumes in today's session. So clearly we did see a lot of stock-specific action in trade today, and in terms of broader markets as well, they clearly outperformed the benchmark indices in trade.
All right, now amid these volatile times, where will pockets of value emerge? How will things really pan out for investors in the long term? Pramod Gabbi of Masterless Investment shares his insights.
From a thematic or a sectoral perspective, given the way the markets have run up in the last 3 years, literally from the bottom of COVID, valuation-driven asymmetries seem to be few and far between. There are structural growth opportunities for those growth investors who want to bet on 5-10 years of sustained growth. There, I think the improvements in the macro as well as micro in specific cases will mean that even without any sort of valuation upside, you can generate returns through intrinsic value compounding itself. And that remains the idea in terms of identifying new picks. But I guess given markets are markets, so therefore you will see some sort of a correction or downside, which will make it even more attractive to buy those structural plays.
Now with Diwali round the corner, the markets are gearing up for the new Samvat. At our Samvat 2080 special, we spoke to Kotak Mahindra's AMC's Nilesh Shah and Edelweiss MD and CEO Radhika Gupta about what to expect from the next Samvat.
In Indian market, exit is easy. Between October 21 to June 22, almost $32 billion plus worth of equity was sold by FPIs, and they could take everything out. On the other hand, entry is easy. When they have to buy the same shares or others, they have to pay a premium. So truly last year was resilience of Indian investors, maturity of Indian investors, and this has done one very, very formidable thing. It has reduced the beta risk of India. It has lowered our beta relative to other emerging markets. That means eventually this will be reflected into the risk premium or return expectations of global investors. So all kudos to mutual fund distributors and retail investors who participated via mutual funds to ensure that last Samvat was good. And I expect this trend to continue in the next Samvat.
I was shooting at Film City yesterday, as some of you know, and in an audience of 50 people, when I asked how many of you had done an SIP, not everybody raised their hand, but everyone knew what an SIP was. And this is Film City and it's a camera crew. And I think that's how much SIP has become popular. I think why we should take heart in an SIP is that if an investor invests in any equity fund in any of the AMCs on this panel or otherwise and stays a 10-year investor, even in a scenario where markets are 0 to 10% kind of flat, the investor makes a meaningful return. SIP has also become a way of saving in a disciplined way for Indian investors. In fact, I always tell new investors, just start a 100 rupee SIP because you will start a format. So SIP solves a problem for investors, one of getting into a savings habit and then of earning a meaningful return on your savings so that you're not questioning yourself on why I invested. My belief is, Alex, that this 16,000 crore SIP book that we have will probably be about double the size, about 35,000 crores 5 years from now, which will be incredible. I mean, DII, domestic ownership of Indian capital markets, is only rising close to 20% now. It was 10% a decade ago. And I think if the SIP movement continues, it will be good for investors and it will be better for capital markets.
Shares of Bajaj Finance gained in trade today after the NBFC decided to raise funds. Now, the company has launched a QIP to raise up to 8,800 crore rupees. Harsh Satya joins in with all the details.
Right, announced in October, being executed now. The fundraise of Bajaj Finance, 10,000 crore of fundraise, all set to go through. What can we expect with regard to valuations here? And let's try and break that down. The book value per share of Bajaj Finance is roughly 1,000 rupees a share, trading at roughly 7.5 times price to book. Now, with this new fundraise, the book value, existing book value per share will go up from 1,000 to 1,130, which is post money. And post-conversion of Bajaj Finserv's warrants as well. So 1,130 will be the implied book value, which is price to book of 6.7. Let's try and understand better the relevance of this. The 5-year average price to book which Bajaj Finance has carried is 7.5 times, and the COVID low in terms of book value was 5.5 times. So currently at 7.5, which is largely where the 5-year average is as well. But post money, it will be at 6.7 times. So you're seeing a bit of reduction in the price to book, therefore a possibility of upside there as well. Let's quickly switch it over to what this means with regard to ROAs and ROEs. Well, your ROAs and ROEs are trending above the guided range. So what we are seeing therefore is that a little bit of dilution which will come in post this equity raise will easily get absorbed within that guidance band. That will be one thing which investors will look out for. And the other thing is whether they can maintain the 30% plus growth target as well, even though the guidance is below that, roughly 25 to 27% AUM growth. So a couple of those factors yet to play out, but Bajaj Finance in focus on the back of that fundraise.
Paras Defence reported double-digit growth in revenue and EBITDA in the September quarter. Amit Mahajan of Paras Defence shared his guidance and his outlook for the company going forward.
Do you stand by your projection of about a 30-35% growth going forward for this entire financial year, as well as margins? Would you be able to keep them about 26-27%?
Yes, we stand by our growth trajectory of 30-35%, and we also stand by that we will sustain the margins that we in terms of percentage. We will sustain the margins like they were last year.
Okay.
If at all, slightly better.
Shares of BKG Foods surged after the firm reported a 47% rise in net profit in the second quarter. Now revenues rose and margins expanded. And how will the company fare in FY24? BKG Foods Manoj Verma shares his views.
Quarter 3 has started off very well, and this was well anticipated as well, because last year it was little early Diwali, so quite a sales got shifted to quarter 2. And this year it's more in quarter 3. Quarter 3 is looking very good. I think overall from industry perspective, if you look at quarter 2 has not been so great. There were some, headwinds, and what I hear, see, and read the company's results has been a challenging environment. We're very glad and happy that our teams have done very well and they stretched themselves out. We delivered a 17% plus volume growth in snacktionery, which is commendable and by far ahead of the industry growth. Going forward, as we said that it will be about, say, 17-18 plus percentage volume growth. I think we are well on track to deliver that.
All right, that's all we have for you on Let's Talk Business. All right, a big business story though globally that has been grabbing headlines. Office sharing company WeWork has officially filed for bankruptcy in the US today. From being a $47 billion startup to now turning bankrupt, what really didn't work for WeWork? Now, NDTV spoke to analysts who believe, to put things simply, the pandemic for starters hurt the co-working business model. They also said WeWork's mismanaged IPO attempt and debts piled in the US and Canada in particular added to the woes. Interestingly, some experts felt an idea that in 2010 got a huge thumbs up and was backed by SoftBank went into a vicious circle of unrealistic expansion plans altogether. Now, experts feel WeWork failed to recognize that success in one location didn't guarantee triumph everywhere. A one-size-fits-all approach was fundamentally flawed in an industry where location really is pivotal. So while WeWork Inc. has said global operations will continue as usual for now, WeWork India has said they operate independently of WeWork Global and the bankruptcy warning won't affect them. Lots more news and updates after a very short break.
This show isn't just about news from the southern states. It's one that looks at the rest of India and the world from a diverse South India point of view, because NDTV has always taken the southern view seriously.
The Southern View with Veera Raghav, only on NDTV 24/7.
NDTV for news you can trust. No sensationalism, no ugly debates, no agenda. We strive to be transparent and unbiased in our reporting so you can get news that you can rely on.
That was fast, right? But tech is evolving even quicker than our abilities to adapt. And that's how I like to roll. टेक्नोलॉजी तो आप सभी के पास है, but what you need is everything else. मेरा नाम है गौरव और अब मैं आ गया हूँ NDTV नेटवर्क पे हर रोज हर हफ्ते अब आपके और पास. Go beyond the now.
When it comes to sports, we set the ball rolling.
Because we have our eyes on the ball.
Because we want to get you the best.
Latest updates.
Top interviews.
And analysis.
From around the globe.
Election in 5 states, 679 seats, over 16 crore voters. A crucial semi-final before 2024. NDTV brings you the politics, the promises, the stories and backstories, every twist and turn of 5 high-stake battles. When it comes to elections, India trusts NDTV.
फ्रेंड्स, इन दिस सेगमेंट मैं आपके साथ में कुछ इंपॉर्टेंट इंफॉर्मेशन शेयर करने वाला हूं अबाउट योर गैजेट्स. यू नो, योर डिवाइस माइट बी एक्सपोज टू सम क्रिटिकल वल्नरेबिलिटीज जिसके बाद में आपका डेटा, आपका इंपॉर्टेंट जो इंफॉर्मेशन आपने स्टोर करके रखा है उस फोन में, वो सब गलत हाथों में जा सकता है. अभी ऐसा ही कुछ हुआ व्हेन द कंप्यूटर इमरजेंसी रिस्पॉन्स टीम फॉर इंडिया एक एडवाइजरी इशू करती है एंड वो बताती है कि मल्टीपल वर्जन्स ऑफ एंड्रॉयड, टॉकिंग अबाउट एंड्रॉयड 11, एंड्रॉयड 12, एंड्रॉयड 12L एंड साथ में एंड्रॉयड 13 भी, ये कुछ क्रिटिकल इश्यूज को पोज कर रहे हैं. देयर आर सम, यू नो,
I'm not. Good evening and welcome to Left, Right and Centre. I'm Vishnu Shom. On the programme tonight, a third or 34% of all families in Bihar survive on less than 6,000 rupees per month, and 42% of scheduled castes and scheduled tribes households, they live in poverty according to the second set of data from the Bihar government's caste-based survey. A caste census, of course, is extremely politically loaded at a time when there are so many assembly elections, with the general elections coming up next year. The Congress has been pushing for a nationwide caste census. The BJP had concerns about the release of this report, but seems to have come around to it. The key issue politically is whether the data from Bihar means that there will have to be a serious revaluation of the existing system of quotas to account for the link between caste, poverty, education and employment that the new data is throwing up. Now, we've got a fantastic panel with us. I'm just going to introduce our panel before we take a look at the immediate fallout of the tabling of this report, with a proposed increase in reservations for certain groups in Bihar. But joining us on the program today, Yogendra Yadav, KC Tyagi, Nikhil Anand, who's the spokesperson of the BJP and National General Secretary of the BJP OBC Morcha. Professor Badri Narayan is with us as well. Thank you all very much for being with us. What I'd like to do first is just take a look at what the Bihar government has done, with Nitish Kumar proposing an increase in quotas in Bihar to 65%. His proposal includes 10% EWS reservation A big hike has been proposed in the quota for OBCs and extremely backward castes, or EBCs. Mr. Nitish Kumar has proposed a backward caste quota hike from 30 to 43%. So that's what we are actually looking at. I'm going to get a quick couple of reactions first to this development. Nikhil, Anand, let me come to you first. Mr. Anand, Nitish Kumar has made this big announcement just hours after this report was tabled. How do you react?
See, it has been proposed, and let the detailed proposal come out. But I think that, first of all, my comment is that caste is a rugged reality of Indian society. And we need to promote social justice in a way that all the communities get equal representation and space in the socio-political developmental model. And here, I want to quote a reference that among the backward communities, you see that the most poor are the Yadavs, as well as they have lesser job in percentage, and they have the most poor. So what is it? You see that for last 15 years, from 90 to 2015, Lalu Prasad Yadav was at the power, and we see that the governance model has not been able to reach properly to the downtrodden.
No, absolutely. But let me ask you this pointed question.
Economic sphere.
No, correct. And that's the focus of my discussion. We'll come back to that. But what I'm trying to ask you is, a quick reaction to these developments. And I ask you this because Amit Shah, for example, a couple of days back had problems to the tabling of this report. He said that some groups were being deliberately inflated in the count. Since then, the BJP has come around and it now accepts the need for a caste census. So where do you stand on it today, now that the Bihar government has said that they will increase quotas for certain groups?
BJP is not at all against any reservation. We support reservation policy, and we are not at all in toto against the caste census,
right,
which is usually presented against us. So we will come out with the whole, let the government come out with the whole proposal, and we will comment on the issues. But here we support the reservation as well as the caste census. And our point is that the communities who are lesser in number, there are hundreds of communities whose population is 1 lakh around, and there are hundreds of communities. They don't have any political aspiration? What will happen to them? We are talking about the larger community, which is existing 4%, 5%, 12%, 14%. But there are communities which is lesser than 1%. So we want to promote a model which takes along everyone and all the communities in the developmental model, and they get equal sphere and space in the bureaucracy, in judiciary, everywhere. We want that a model of social justice should be
representation among people across groups. I get that. Let me get a quick reaction from KC Tyagi ji. Let me get a quick reaction from K. Sir, the point is that there is a limit of 50% for both SC, ST and OBC. On the basis of what Nitish Kumar has now announced, a hike for OBCs and EBCs, is that 50% norm set by the Supreme Court, is it going to be challenged?
विष्णु जी, मैं सबसे पहले जो हिंदुस्तान के मार्जिनलाइज्ड, डिप्राइव्ड और अंडर प्रिविलेज सोसाइटी सोशली ग्रुप हैं, उनको आगे बढ़ाने के बिहार सरकार के नेता नीतीश कुमार के प्रस्ताव का समर्थन करता हूं, जिनको सदियों के बाद न्याय की उम्मीद जगी है। मैं भाजपा के अपने मित्रों से कहना चाहता हूं कि इस परिवर्तन का विरोध करने की और इसमें नुक्ताचीनी निकालने की कोशिश ना करें। 1931 में जनगणना हुई थी, ब्रिटिश रूल था, फ्यूडल सोसाइटी थी, लोग जात छिपाते थे, उसके बाद में कभी जातिगत जनगणना नहीं हुई। मैं बीजेपी के अपने मित्र से कहना चाहता हूं कि उनको कैसे पता लग गया कि यादव और मुस्लिम की संख्या बढ़ गई है? क्या अब से पहले कोई और जातिगत जनगणना हुई है? नंबर 1। नंबर 2, बिहार क्या था उस समय? एक बड़ा हिस्सा बंगाल में था, एक उड़ीसा में था। जब रीऑर्गेनाइजेशन ऑफ द स्टेट हुआ तो कम से कम उतने झूठ फैलाने की कोशिश करें जितने झूठ आपके चल जाए। नंबर 1। नंबर 2, जब संख्या उनकी ज्यादा पाई गई है तो उनको प्रोपोर्शनल रिप्रेजेंटेशन देना ये नेचुरल जस्टिस है। आप अमृतकाल मना रहे हैं, 75 साल आजादी के हो गए। समाज के इन अंडर प्रिविलेज तबकों को ये जानने का अधिकार है और सिविल सोसाइटी को भी, विष्णु जी, कि क्या आजादी की जो रोशनी है,
ये तो मैं समझ रहा हूं, पर आपने मेरा सवाल का जवाब अभी तक दिया नहीं। मैं आपसे सिर्फ ये पूछ रहा हूं कि ये कानून अनुसार किया जा सकता है या नहीं, क्योंकि 50% का जो लिमिट है, जो एक सुप्रीम कोर्ट लिमिट है SC ST और OBC कोटा पे, इस स्तर से तो ज्यादा होगा अब कोटा, तो ये होगा कैसे?
विष्णु जी, केंद्र की सरकार ने जब 10% का इकोनॉमिकली वीकर सेक्शन के लिए किया था, जिसका हमारी पार्टी ने भी समर्थन किया है, तो 50 की कैप तो उस दिन ही खत्म हो गई थी
जी।
50% की कैप खत्म हो जाती है सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट की जब EWS का कोटा 10% हो जाता है, तो टूट ही गया। अब हम ये मांग करते हैं कि 50% से बढ़ा करके 75% किया जाए। 10% इसमें EWS का भी शामिल है, और मेरे बिहार के मित्र जानते हैं, तब हम और ये तो साथ साथ थे।
नो त्यागी जी, you've answered my question। नहीं त्यागी जी, आपने अब मेरा प्रश्न का जवाब दिया। आपने कहा कि इस कोटा को रिवाइज करना चाहिए अपवर्ड्स, क्योंकि एक ये न्याय का इशू है और आपका यही मांग है। मैं समझ रहा हूं इसको। Let me bring in Yogendra Yadav at this stage. Yogendra ji, we'll look at the legality and you know what needs to be done to increase reservations later. But you know, I just feel that some of the data thrown up was absolutely shocking. For example, the new caste data shows that 34% of all families in Bihar survive on less than 6,000 rupees a month. 42% of scheduled castes and scheduled tribes, their households live in poverty. The larger issue here, and let's move away from politics for just one moment, does this essentially mean that despite quotas across the board, the link between caste and poverty has not been broken? Certainly not in Bihar and perhaps not in the rest of our country either.
That's exactly the point, Vishnu, and I'm glad that you're focusing on the real issue to begin with. Because the data that was released by Bihar government probably a few weeks ago, that was only preliminary data. The real data has come today. And as I keep reminding everyone, caste census is not about counting the number of caste or the population size of caste. Caste census is about detailing a educational and economic profile of each caste of the state.
Precisely.
So today we have seen now the first glimpse of it. And Vishnu, it's only the first glimpse.
Yes.
We do not yet have the jati-wise breakup. I'm waiting for that. But you are right. What we have already seen is not only the fact that there is a lot of poverty in Bihar, which everyone knows.
Yep.
Not only that there is a lot of illiteracy in Bihar, which everyone knows. What we have seen from today's data is that this poverty and lack of education has very steep caste curve. If you look at those who earn, let's say, 50,000 rupees or more, which a family earning 50,000 rupees or more, which in Delhi would be seen, all right, a middle-class family. We have less than 4% of that in the entire state of Bihar. Look at the distribution of it. Among the upper caste, it's 9%. Among the BCs, it's 5%. Among the EBC, it's just 2%.
Yes.
And among the SC and ST, it's just 1%.
Yeah.
I mean, this is classic textbook slope of inequality.
So,
as you rightly pointed out, the data shows that economic conditions are still determined very much by caste. caste matters for economic and educational attainment.
And employment.
I don't yet have the data of education with me, and I'm waiting, Vishnu, in case you have it. Please take a look at the
on education
by caste or jat.
No, I've got some of that data.
Don't look at the bottom category, look at the top category, and you would get the results.
Sure. I've got some data on education. I just want to put this across to Professor Badri Narayan, who's with us as well. Professor Badri Narayan, less than 6% of scheduled castes, according to this data, had finished their schooling. Less than 6% of scheduled castes had finished their schooling. In other words, class 11 and 12. To me, this is perhaps the most shocking statistic because, you know, I mean, the progression from poverty to employment has education in between, and that's missing. So what is the link, you know, and can you explain it for us? What is the link between caste-based deprivation and an incomplete education? Why does this continue to happen despite quotas existing?
See, actually, this is all linked with the economic empowerment. First of all, this caste, SC caste, needs to come out from poverty, acquire a minimum level from where they can aspire to be mobile, capacity to aspire to be developed, capacity to aspire to be educated. And when they will acquire this capacity to aspire, then they will acquire the capacity to acquire. For that, the minimum economic level is needed. And that is not happening in Bihar. So caste is important, but the horizontal distribution of economic resources sponsored by the state is more critical and more needed. And education, when education will come to them, when they will aspire to be mobile, they will go closer to education. And for that, they need economic condition. When they will go to near to the education, they will cultivate their political leadership. Then they will come forward for political participation in democracy. So these are all linked, but basic is the minimum economic level from where they can get capacity to aspire for better life, to take education, to take participation. So that is needed. And you know the reservation, the 65% reservation and whatever, I think it's only give a vertical mobility to a community, not horizontal. And this, the relation of this Bihar census, socioeconomic data Bihar census is this also, that think about other strategies to empower these SCs, STs, and even most marginal EBCs, those who are still invisible communities. And for that, the minimum, I said, minimum economic level, that's why Garibi is very crucial and pertinent in them. They will have to come out from the Garibi to go closer to the education. So these are very linked. These are not a separate process, but basic is economics. Economics of the identity, economics of the caste is very crucial here, what I observe. All the politics in Bihar is the caste identity-based politics since 30 years.
Sure.
They should get a lesson that now they will have to do politics of the economics of the caste, not the politics, identity, politics of the caste.
Yogendraji, the way we have dealt historically in India with the inequality which we've been born into is by having quotas. And we've had quotas for decades. It's gone up, it's gone down, it's gone up largely. And it's evidently not worked at the most basic levels. Does the solution for ridding India of inequality lie in increasing quotas? And I'll give you one example, Yogendraji, of where it's not worked. For example, despite all the quotas which exist for government jobs, the central government employs over 18.78 lakh people, 52.7% of whom belong to the general category. So where is the social upliftment?
Vishnu, you are right and not so right. What today's data has shown, if we were to put it in one word, this data shows caste matters. Caste continues to matter. Yes. We have not reached a society where caste doesn't matter, make a difference. It's only economic inequality that matters. Now the question is quota a good solution? Over the years, Vishnu, I have been saying again and again, quotas are necessary but not sufficient. When you say quota has not helped, I disagree with you, Vishnu, because if you look at the affirmative policy in the US, you look at the affirmative policy in Malaysia and in South Africa, India is more successful than any affirmative policy anywhere in the world. So reservations have helped, but you are absolutely right, they have not helped sufficiently. So these are necessary, but not sufficient. And people like me, and I'm sure Badri Narayanji will also join me, we have repeatedly said caste-based quotas are good, they are necessary, but we need to do so much more else. Mandal Commission had made 50 recommendations. Only one of them got implemented. The critical things are land distribution that needs to change, education, quality of education in government schools. Today, the government schools in the country have virtually become schools of SC, ST, and OBCs. So if you improve the quality of education, that would matter. Educational opportunities in colleges, they would matter. Fellowships would matter. But please let us not say, do we want reservation or we want these things? We want both. Historical experience shows that you actually need to do several things. One of those has worked, other things have not been done. They also need to be done. As far as raising to 65% is concerned, I think if we compare it to the population size that we are talking about, the population size is 85%. So let us not say, oh, 65% is being reserved. Let us complete the sentence. Let us say 85% of the population is being assured of 65% quota, which is to say the remaining 15% still have 35% positions vacant for them.
Right.
So more than double is already available in the general category. So I'm not scandalized. I'm personally not been a votary of keep increasing the quota and do nothing else. I've never advocated this policy. But let us not get scandalized. In Bihar, we have just discovered that 63% are scheduled castes and are OBCs. And in addition to that, we have about 22% SC and ST. So in a population of 85% disadvantage, if they get 65%, don't get alarmed. Also keep looking at other policies.
No, I take that. I completely take that. Badri Narayanji, you know, I accept what Yogendra ji is saying. It's not as if we have a solution which rids us entirely of quotas. We are not there as yet. The question is of making quotas work much more. I think this data needs to also be a reflection of where, you know, we've fallen short of our quota goals having actually achieved something. For example, and I'm taking from a Hindu article and I'm quoting because the disproportionate concentration of poverty among STs, SCs, OBCs and Muslims in India have remained stable over time. Despite the presence of these quotas, there's not been, you know, the improvement which we in India want. Another point, the average monthly per capita expenditure of scheduled tribes, scheduled castes and OBC households in rural parts of India were 65, 73 and 84% of the average monthly per capita expenditure of others in the general category. So again, people who are more poor. This comes despite quotas. So is this conversation not also about the need to improve the effectiveness of quotas?
Yes, I think you're very right. Actually, that's why we need to implement very rigorously the quota within quota system for the most marginal communities, and also excludes the creamy layers, constant removal of the creamy layer for getting much and much benefits from the reservation. What I used to say, a reservation in one way is a rope and also a snake. It gives you have up to opportunity to climb, go high, and also after a certain time it start working as a snake, emerge as a capillary hole, and suck the benefit of the other. So first of all, this process needs to be corrected. Secondly, from the bottom, we need to evolve the capacity among most marginal, among individuals to aspire for quota, for reservation. Make them competent to compete. You know, Musahar is a smaller community in Bihar and Uttar Pradesh. They are demanding that we would not like to stay in SC. Make us ST. Because they see a very strong competition within SC for reservation with the Chamar and Jaswas. They are not able to compete. So the historical inequality which we discuss among upper caste and OBCs and lower caste, similar kind of inequalities you can minutely observe emerging slowly within this community. So they are asking that give us ST status.
KC Tyagi, sure. KC Tyagi ji had a point to make. KC Tyagi ji, बताइए.
विष्णु जी, बद्रीनाथ जी की जानकारी में है और योगेंद्र जी की भी और निखिल जी की भी कि 1978 में सबसे पहले इस देश के अंदर कर्पूरी ठाकुर जी इस प्रस्ताव को लेकर के आए थे. उन्होंने कोटा विद इन कोटा किया था और शायद कम लोगों की जानकारी है पैनल को छोड़ करके कि पहली बार महिला रिजर्वेशन भी उन्हीं के जरिए प्रस्ताव आया था और इकोनॉमिकली वीकर सेक्शन के लोगों को भी 3% का आरक्षण दो. बद्री जी वो भी आया था और मुझे अफसोस है कि हम जनता पार्टी में थे और विष्णु जी जनता पार्टी के लोगों ने इंक्लूडिंग निखिल आनंद जी की पार्टी एट दैट टाइम इट यूज्ड टू बी जनसंघ, इन्होंने ही कर्पूरी ठाकुर को हटा दिया कि नहीं हमको ये कोटा विद इन कोटा भी नहीं चाहिए. अब बद्रीनारायण जी 2017 में जस्टिस रोहिणी कमीशन बैठा हुआ है. हम चाहते हैं, हमारी पार्टी चाहती है, नीतीश कुमार चाहते हैं कि उसकी जो रिकमेंडेशन, उसका कार्यकाल 13 बार बढ़ाया गया. अब उसकी रिपोर्ट राष्ट्रपति के यहाँ पड़ी हुई है. उस रिपोर्ट को प्रकाशित करो और इंप्लीमेंट करो. और बद्रीनारायण जी कोटा विद इन कोटा के तहत कर्पूरी ठाकुर ने 12% किया था अति पिछड़ों के लिए, 8% किया था पिछड़ों के लिए, 3% किया था महिलाओं के लिए, 3% किया था EWS के लिए. तो उसी के आधार पर जस्टिस रोहिणी कमीशन की रिकमेंडेशन लागू क्यों नहीं करते आप, बजाय क्रिटिसाइज करने के. अब यह है कि क्रीमी लेयर बढ़ा दो. ये वही लोग हैं जो पहले आरक्षण का कोटा बढ़ाने की मांग कर रहे थे. और एक चीज और विष्णु जी कहना
Okay, Tyagi ji, let's get an answer from Nikhil Anand. Nikhil,
Please.
does the state of education,
Please,
poverty and
khatam
jobs, one sec, does the state of, for example, education, poverty and jobs as made clear in the Bihar caste census now mean that existing quotas for different groups must be revised and that the center must push this?
See, BJP is very much pro to reservation policy. We support it to the core. And the kind of cynicism is prevailing among some regional parties that they put BJP in bad light. I want to recall you that we have given the constitutional status to NCBC after 30 years of its formation. And not only this PM Vishwakarma Yojana, which is going to support the around 50% of the EBC, OBC population. So it is not. We are very much pro to reservation policy. We want to economically uplift the weaker section of the society. But I want to say that reservation and caste census is not the panacea for all the ills Indian society is facing or say Bihar is facing. We need to discuss, we need to find modalities.
Sure.
But the kind of disparity which has come, and many myths have been broken, that Yadavs have dominated the scene in Bihar, and we see that there are more poor among Yadav, among the backwards, and they have got lesser job, 1.5% job. So we need to come out of this rhetoric politics, this caste politics, and the kind of politics in Bihar we have witnessed during Laluji regime. So we want to come beyond that.
Sure.
We want real social justice, which should be promoted to everyone. The situation of SC community, which is worst in Bihar.
No, so therefore, sir, and I'm running out of time, but let me just ask you, no, Nikhil ji, one question, and this is my last question, I need to wrap this up. Do you therefore agree with holding a caste census across India?
Yeah, of course. We are pro to conducting caste census. We have already witnessed how Congress sabotaged caste census of 2011, wasting around 5,000 crore rupees of public exchequer money. But we will arrive to a modality, and in future, surely caste census will be conducted.
All right.
And I am just telling you, on foreign note, that BJP is pro to caste census and BJP is pro to reservation policy.
All right.
We are not at
all
all
right.
against.
Okay. Let's see what that caste census, when all India, when it actually does happen, what it does throw up and what it means for reservations across the country. We've seen a hike proposed already by Nitish Kumar within hours of this being tabled in Bihar. I'd like to thank you all for a fascinating discussion looking at the dynamics and the interplay of education, of caste, of poverty and of employment. Thank you very much indeed.
जब एक दिया जलता है पूरा घर रोशन हो
A cup of hope.
A cup of joy.
Can India lift it at home after 12 years?
We will follow their journey through the length and breadth of the country.
Through every twists and turns.
On Turning Point, on NDTV 24/7.
Okay, so we're coming towards the end और ये है मेरा favorite section, guys. You know about it. It's Ask TG, जहाँ पे आपके सवाल होते हैं, मैं जवाब देता हूँ. तो let's see इस हफ्ते हमारे पास में क्या-क्या सवाल आए हैं, because I am ready with all my answers.
Hi TG, which mobile brands should we buy to support PM Modi's Make in India initiative?
Okay, I'll tell you something very honestly. Any phone in the market, when you see the label that it is made in India or assembled in India or something like that, go ahead, get it. That's my honest answer. आज अगर कोई फ़ोन बनता है इंडिया में तो हम देखते हैं कि कुछ कंपोनेंट्स इंडिया से आते हैं, कुछ कंपोनेंट्स इंडिया के बाहर से भी आते हैं और हम विद टाइम ये कोशिश कर रहे हैं कि ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा मेजॉरिटी ऑफ द कंपोनेंट्स इंडिया से आने शुरू हो जाएं. बट दिस नंबर is very difficult, you know, to go to 100% because ये बहुत ज़्यादा मुश्किल एक प्रोडक्ट है जहाँ पे बहुत सारे कंपोनेंट्स काम में आते हैं. Sometimes the protocol might not be supported. Sometimes this USB port is not sufficient to give you a display output. तो आप उस केस में Chromecast को यूज़ कर सकते हैं to cast your screen. I would say that would be an easier option. And if you can give more details about the exact model of tab that you're using या फिर आप किस तरीके से रन करना चाह रहे हैं, I might give you some more insightful information. But as of now, I would say not all devices have the ports designed the same way. Sometimes the functionality is limited. तो आप ज़रूरी नहीं है कि उस displays का output ले पाएँ बाहर. You can use a wireless solution that way.
Hi, Technical Guruji. Is there any way at all to track my kids' smartphone usage?
Yes, very easy and it's very important as well. आपको ये काम करना चाहिए. Any phone, iPhone हो या Android phone हो, सभी में आपको screen time का option मिल जाता